Hello, and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 41 for the week of May 14th, 2018. I'm your host, as always, Sane Gray. With me is Dalsson and Thel.
Damn it, though.
It might be an interesting show, guys.
Yeah, it probably is. It's very little to talk about. We might
You
talk
make
about
sure you
Infinity.
folks stay tuned now.
Maybe, yeah. So we got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. We might later on in the show we might talk a little bit about Infinity War spoilers, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's it, as if that was like literally the only thing we were watching.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to change all of the information on Twitch.
Oh no.
Podcast.
Oh no.
I'm gonna do that right now.
Oh no, we're still playing For the King.
The God is
Shit.
the VOD is gonna be fucked up. But that's...
I don't even have that launched. I thought we were doing the podcast.
Wow.
Fuck.
I am
You know
like
what?
all not put together right now, as you can tell.
Oh boy.
It hit 4 o'clock and I yelled, "We're going live!" And Sane was like, "Ah, shit."
And I like woke
Oh,
up
this
3
kind of
minutes
thing
ago. I was like,
happens.
okay.
This kind of
All
thing
right, let's
happens.
go.
You see.
All right, I updated the information, but you may
Good,
have to
good.
refresh for all me in the stream. Apparently,
Good. Okay, we're
Okay.
anyway,
We're back.
we're doing it
so
live.
we're gonna start with some games and movies we've checked out this week, and then head into some news, what little there is, and then at the end of the podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about in Marvel's Infinity War spoilers
Oh boy.
or Avengers Infinity War, whatever.
Just because you literally can't really talk about that movie without spoilers.
And we've all finally seen it, which is great.
Yeah, getting out to the movie theater is actually kind of hard for these guys, so.
Yeah.
I'm about in the middle of goddamn nowhere. We don't got movie theaters out here.
It's kind of
Yeah,
funny.
we
We live in, like, big city, little town, bumfuck nowhere.
Oh yeah. Literally the middle of the forest. I actually live in the middle of the forest. That's not even like a joke.
Yeah.
I could go out that way and go take a picture of trees if you want.
All right, so
Okay.
who wants to start first this week?
The same person who starts every week, Dalsson.
I don't feel like it this week, so why don't you start?
All
this
right,
time?
okay, I'll go. Shoot, what do I start with? I'll just start with Pillars of Eternity, I guess. So,
Okay.
I decided to play a little bit of Pillars of Eternity 2. And then I realized that it's one of those games that you have to have played the first one first because it imports your save and you play as the same character.
Oh,
and all of
really?
the stuff that you did in Pillars of Eternity 1 is important. You can play it without playing the first game, but
That
Why?
sounds crazy. Why would they do that? Because that game was really, really long.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say the same thing about Mass Effect, but you know,
It
That-
wasn't.
Mass Effect wasn't as long as Pillars of Eternity.
What's
fair enough. So
There are
anyway,
other
I
games you
started-
could say that about, though, like The Witcher,
Yeah.
for instance.
Yeah.
still?
But even then, Witcher 3,
Yeah,
Kind of
Witcher
was
3 is,
self-contained
completely
a little bit.
disconnected, Yeah.
I'm the one who drinks. Put that shit away.
Okay. So anyway, about Pillars of Eternity. I have been playing a lot of Path of Exile and doing like a lot of like the story and lore stuff of Path of Exile, and I feel like
One day
that's
you accidentally looked at the wrong Poe game.
yeah. One day I accidentally looked at the wrong Poe game. I feel like the reason that I've been doing all of that stuff in Path of Exile is because I wanted one of those good things to give me that good feeling the original Diablo games gave me. That really fucked up dark fantasy shit. And Pillars of Eternity is great for that. One of the first things you do is you go to a town, and you're just immediately welcomed by what can only be described as Grandpa's old lynching tree with 18 people strung up.
Oh, yeah. I
And a
remember
welcoming
that part.
committee with fucking torches just walks up to you and says, "Hi, welcome. You're gonna love it here." It was wonderful. I'm playing as a character that has a mollusk on their face, called a death godlike. So I was not aware that you could
So
play.
what?
as
You're
one
like
of those.
a mind flayer, or like?
Well, not really. I'm like a human with a horrible face mollusk.
So like a mind flayer?
Well, I'm a little bit like a mind flayer, just because what my class allows me to do. I picked a class that's basically like it whispers into people's minds. There's an ability I could take immediately that just turns an enemy on, like one of the enemies against its friends.
So you are mostly humanoid. You have a squid for a face, and
No,
you
I'm
whisper
mostly
into people's
human,
mind.
but with like a a clam for a face.
Oh, a
I
mollusk
look
is like
the
a
Brine
squid
King.
thing.
What?
A mollusk is like a squid thing, Thel.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah.
A mollusk is a squishy thing.
It's like a what's that one Pokemon?
Like a cuttlefish or a squid.
Oh
or
yeah.
No,
I have one of
that's slightly
those, but
different.
it's like less. It's like I suppose my face looks like a cuttlefish was stapled to my face, and like
Interesting.
it's my hair.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. Interesting.
And like black goop constantly drips from where my eyes might be.
Delicious.
Yes.
I played this game forever ago, and I played like 7 hours, like almost 8 hours of it, and I barely remember it at all.
Yeah.
I think I wasn't even out of the tutorial yet.
Jesus. Long game.
How much of it did you play?
The tutorial for this felt pretty quick. It ends after you get to the town that I can't remember its name, so I'm just gonna call it Lynchwood, because that's like what the town is.
Not quite.
I'm still receiving like some tutorial messages, like even though like sometimes I like die to a monster, so I go back and I don't do like the thing I did last time that got me killed, and then like 10 minutes later I do it again, and then tutorial, hey, this is how you use stealth. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. I haven't used this since then. Thanks for reminding me how to do stealth. Yeah,
Funny.
I've moved on to the second town now, if you can call it that. But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the characters as they're written. I've given a little bit of shit to Tyranny, but I feel like the character writing in this is a lot better. Even almost immediately, you get like 2 companions like at the beginning of the game, and they don't feel like the same characters that there were in Tyranny, which is great because all like
that's kind of what I was saying when we were talking about Tyranny last time. Was that or not? I think you told me about wanting to play Pillars of Eternity for whatever reason.
Too, yeah.
And
I was like, I just hope that it's not like mediocre like Tyranny was. And playing Pillars of Eternity 1 and seeing the reviews on Pillars of Eternity 2, everyone's like, hey, Pillars of Eternity 1 was really good. This game's just a better that.
Yeah.
So
but you have to play Pillars of Eternity first.
I mean, you can just go into like the options and be like, so this is what happened in the first game.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you don't have to.
But why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, you should probably know.
It's like the way that Mass Effect 3 was advertised.
I prefer the way Divinity 2 did it. And that they just
I really do
story.
that, because like you can just jump into Divinity.
Yeah, it creates a new story, but it does like reference specific events and things that you learn about, at least in Divinity.
And I think like it probably is like basically it's like, okay, so this is what happened last time previously on Pillars of Eternity, and then this guy showed up, and your character from Pillars of Eternity 1 has to go stop him.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's I do like what they did with Divinity, and like you were saying, Dalsson, it's like what they advertise Mass Effect as being. You can just jump into it without having played the previous games. They advertised Mass Effect 3 as being that. It wasn't, and even when EA still hasn't fixed that motherfucking bug where if your save came from a Mass Effect 1 game and it was imported through 2 games, can't import it, motherfucker.
That's just like that just undermines the entire idea. I mean, it doesn't undermine the execution, but it undermines the idea that they had.
I just don't even want to think about Mass Effect. Can we stop talking about Mass Effect?
I can understand your point.
I was curious about the combat system, though, because it's been a really long time, so I don't remember what the combat system quite was. Is it real-time with pause, or is it...
It is real-time with pause, yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like one of those games that's will probably eternally stay on my backlog.
Yeah.
Because I always think, I don't know if I really have the energy to sink this much time into a CRPG right now.
Yeah.
And there are very few times that I really am like looking to play a CRPG.
Yeah. And
that's not,
are,
and
you
I'm
can,
like, and that's not to say I don't like CRPGs. It's actually one of my favorite genres. It just takes a lot of effort to play.
Yeah, for sure. And when you are looking to play something like that, you could just hit us up and be like, "Hey, let's play some Divinity today."
Yeah, which we still have not finished.
Yeah.
I actually remember exactly where we are and what we were doing, but
yeah,
kind of a while ago. So from all accounts, Pillars of Eternity 2 was good.
Excellent.
Do you think you're gonna try to rush through Pillars of Eternity, or
I'm
you're probably gonna play it for a while and then set it down like every other sort of
I think
CRPG?
I might. Well, I would have said like, yeah, I'm rushing through Pillars of Eternity, but I feel like Pillars of Eternity, because of the fact that I didn't set level scaling, because I'm like, oh, that's just dumb. I feel like I'm not gonna be able to rush through because I'm gonna have to do some side stuff to be able to kill things,
Fair enough.
like successfully. Because game is kind of hard.
I actually remember at the point that I stopped, I didn't know exactly what I was doing. Like, I didn't know where I was supposed to go next, so I was kind of wandering around, and it was kind of a problem. I think that's why I stopped ultimately, but
right.
So I think it might have pacing issues in that sense, but
yeah. I do know there was one point where I was a little bit lost and had to run around doing like something solo, and it was kind of weird. But then I slept in an inn, and then I got 2 companions, and then everything started working again.
Huh. Okay,
and
good.
Everything was happy once again. Wonderful. And now I have 3 other companions, which is great.
Do you just get them all at once, or do you like switch between them?
You get like a ton. I think you can have like up to like 5 or 6 companions at a time. Like 5 or like 6 party members and 5 companions, including yourself.
Neat. Okay.
Yeah, I don't recall. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we? Because I have a movie, but
I have.
Since we're on the topic of games, do you have any other games?
Yeah. Well, I played a little bit of Midair and released a whole video on that, and it makes me sad.
One of the commenters on that video said that the level progression is so fast that it's definitely better than Tribes Ascend in that regard.
Oh, that's good.
Pay to win leveling up. The pay to win or level to win. Aspect.
What I was hearing is that it ramps up though. That it like really goes heavy. Like
so Midair.
Why don't you explain what Midair is?
Oh, okay. So Midair is a Tribes-like game after the death of Tribes Ascend, because high res is the worst. Some guys released Midair, which is a game that kind of is trying to be Tribes 2.0. The new successor to Tribes, and unfortunately they put some of the same stuff that killed Tribes Ascend in it.
Yeah. Like, the reason that Tribes of Sin went under is because it just, like, as time progressed, it got more and more pay to win or more and more play to win. But you had to sink thousands and thousands of hours into Tribes of Sin in order to
unlock everything.
Unlock anything, not just.
Well, and here's what's a little bit worse that I actually didn't mention about Midair in the video. Not only does it have the same like pay to win stuff as Tribes of Sin, it has loot boxes too.
Oh like, no!
You could just have people pay for the loot box. Instead of
like
having like a founder's pack or whatever the fuck like they call their pack that gives you all of the stuff for free. Just have people pay for cosmetics. You have a bunch of cosmetics in your game. Hey, do you want to use that? Do you want to use that instead of the thing that killed Tribes Ascend?
Yeah, it just seems weird that they were like
If you're gonna scrape on your microphone, you need to mute it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that came through. So yeah, it's just very strange, like, because they like went into Midair starting this project thinking like, okay, we are doing this because Tribes of Sin failed, and these are the reasons why Tribes of Sin failed. So let's do the same thing. Like,
Yeah,
it just doesn't
that was
make
the
any
joke
sense.
I made in my video. I don't know if they like actually knew why Tribes of Sin failed. I think they were just like, well, people don't play Tribes of Sin anymore. Let's make another one because it was really fun. Yeah. Didn't like decide. They didn't think like, why did it fail?
It's weird. It's just weird.
It is kind of strange that they would be so bad at balancing the economy essentially in Tribes when Smite is like probably one of the more friendly like MOBA likes in the market.
Yeah, but it's easier to like do because people are more accepting of like, okay, well, I can pay to unlock this character, I can pay to unlock some skins, I can pay for the tournament pass to watch all the tournament stuff and get free shit. People are more accepting of that because that's just kind of how MOBAs go. But when you're in like a first-person shooter,
no, I totally disagree because if you look at Overwatch, like Overwatch took a lot of the same kind of things that they did. Tribes or whatever could just have character skins and weapon skins and like and particle effects and all that stuff would be fine. It's just that I just don't understand how they could have such a nice like monetization strategy in Smite where you can buy all of the characters forever for what is essentially the cost of a full-priced game
well, you could do the same thing in Tribes.
Yeah, but unfortunately some of the characters were just ridiculously overpowered.
Right, but the thing is, the difference between them is though, like, sure, maybe some of the new characters in Smite come out, strong, but usually they're balanced more than not.
More or less. Or they balance them later, which seems to be the case that they often do when we were playing.
Although it's hard, I mean, that's one of those things where you never actually know if that's happening on purpose or not. Like, that could just be a lot of accidents. You don't really, you can't really know. But, like, actual pay-to-win, like that game is not pay-to-win. Like, it's just boggles my mind that they can have such a friendly business model for one game, and that's their probably their most popular and most,
Paladins is getting up there too, but
but that even then there's another game that very similarly has a friendly business model. I think you can unlock all the characters with one fee, just like in the other one. So it's
exactly, regardless of the quality of the game, we're not discussing that. Like the payment model for the free game is fine. It's decent. It's good.
And their two most popular ones have relatively friendly business models, and they're the ones that are losing all traction have crappy business models. Like, how do they not see it? It's just it is bizarre to me.
The problem is they could have balanced it, but they didn't, so they just like left the game to die.
Yeah, they just left it. That was the issue with Tribes. They basically stopped supporting it when they started developing Smite.
Yeah. They threw in the trash.
But I mean, having any kind of mechanics that are pay to win.
Yeah. Like flat out better guns, like inarguably straight upgrades to guns. Like you could have a spin fuser, or you could have a spin fuser that does the same damage with bigger explosions.
Like it's one thing to have. Although actually, Paladins did get in a lot of trouble for some of their monetization strategies. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But they supported that and reworked it because they, I guess, knew that game was popular enough that they should.
Well, they got enough criticism, and that game was making enough money that when they were starting to see drop off, they actually responded. But I don't know.
Yeah, just strange decisions from Hi-Rez.
Hi-Rez is just all over the place.
Yeah,
and like, it's clear that as far as it's a business, so you can't really fault them for this. But it's clear that Hi-Rez always just thinks with like, well, what wing of our money castle should we build next? Because like they pretty much only support the shit that makes them money. They kind of like Remember Global Agenda? Neither does anybody else, including Hi-Rez.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Global Agenda.
Yeah,
but that game was like, I don't know. I feel like that game was stopped being popular before they came out with another game. So
yeah, And it's but think about like their one of their more recent decisions. Very clearly just trying to add another wing to the money castle with Paladins Battle Royale. They're like, what's the most popular thing that exists right now?
Oh,
Battle
don't get me
Royale.
wrong. I'm not
Oh, yeah.
arguing. I'm not arguing that high res isn't like doing that.
Actively
I'm just
trying.
saying.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that like. I don't know. I don't think them prioritizing different things is necessarily a bad thing, because ultimately, if there are less people playing one of their games, then they are serving more of their audience to focus on the games that are more popular.
It's
true.
true.
That might suck
Yeah.
for the people who like Tribes Ascend still,
Mhm.
if there are any, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know, like the same can be said about Fortnite with its Save the World mode. Does anybody
Yeah.
lots of people don't even know that mode exists. So like
Yeah. That was like what the game was designed to be.
And it hurts me in the heart a little bit, but they haven't updated Unreal Tournament since last July, like almost a year ago now. So
yeah, that hurts me too, man.
If they were going to update Unreal Tournament, they would probably just add a Battle Royale mode, but there'd be no point because they have Fortnite. Like,
no, they couldn't add a Battle Royale mode to Unreal Tournament though. Like the game, what they would do is they would put out Unreal Tournament and let someone mod it into being a Battle Royale game.
okay, that's fair.
Like that's always been.
I was gonna say, what do you mean they couldn't put out They put a Battle Royale mode in Path of Exile.
Well, but
well, as a joke in Path of Exile.
But those have more. Those have more. Like, of the relevant hooks for Battle Royale, whereas there are like 12 guns in Unreal Tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, and they always are the same. So like, it would change. It would be too much different. You would have to change too much about Unreal Tournament to turn it into that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we're ever going to get a good arena shooter, we're just gonna have to go to Quake Champions.
I heard that was losing a lot of steam as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think people still play Quake Live a lot though.
Unfortunately, not as much because it didn't. It's not free to play anymore for.
Oh, really? That's strange. Huh. Well,
I mean, I'd be playing it if it was free to play, man.
I mean, like, it's surprising that anybody still plays it, because I remember going to fucking middle school with my laptop and playing it on lunch or whatever. Like, that was 10 or more years ago, like 12, 13 years ago.
I mean, that's just fun. Don't get me wrong.
Anyway.
Rest in peace, arena shooters. Died like a bitch in a ditch. Fuck.
Which we can talk about a bit more later as well. We have a little bit of relevant news on that front.
I'm trying to think. I swear I played something else, but I don't remember what it is. So I'm just going to talk about Game Night. Game Night is a movie that I watched. It was a comedy movie that was surprisingly good. It's about a guy who is a very competitive man who likes to play board games and stuff. Who has like this huge rivalry with his brother, and then his brother shows up and like on his doorstep invites him to his house and invites him and all of his friends to play a big fun it's one of those like really special like murder mystery things. Then it turns out to be an actual but then it turns out to be an actual murder mystery, or does it? So yeah.
Oh, so it's like one of those murder mystery party type deals, but then somebody gets murdered.
And then it turns out the man is like really actually kidnapped? Question mark.
You know.
Yeah.
Every like year, a couple of my friends from work actually do one of those. Like they don't set it up, but they go to one of those, and I've always been interested in it, but I've never gone. So they've always sounded really cool.
Yeah.
But then I'm afraid somebody might actually get murdered.
I don't think anyone will get murdered at those. I'm pretty sure those are controlled environments.
Hey, I mean,
all the lions that eat people are trained.
Hey, but listen, like, somebody actually got murdered in this one that you're talking about.
Or did they?
Or did they?
Yeah, that was this movie was a lot of fun. I heard a lot of good things about it. It wasn't Nice Guys, but it was a good, funny movie that came out in the last 10 years, which we are sorely fucking lacking. Comedy is, I talk about like horror coming back. Comedy is not coming back.
Comedy's been kind of a trash pit unless you like stoner flicks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like stoner flicks are the one kind of thing, the comedy that's like good if you like that kind of humor.
Well, here's the thing. I would say like comedy is good if you like stoner flicks 5 years ago. Now it's just like
that's
comedy
fair,
is like the thing that happens in Marvel movies sometimes.
Yeah, right.
It was a good movie if you're like desperately scrounging for a comedy movie. I would recommend it. If you're looking for like a fun movie to watch over the weekend, I'd recommend it. It's not like it didn't kill me like fucking Nice Guys did, but it was very good.
Really good.
Yeah. It makes me remember another thing that I mentioned earlier when watching this movie. I don't know why we call Jesse Plemons Matt Damon. Well, I know why. It's because he's the guy who looked like Matt Damon that was in Breaking Bad. But we should just be calling Matt Damon discount Jesse Plemons because he's just such a better actor than Matt Damon ever could be.
Yeah.
I love Jesse Plemons so much, and I want to continue to see him grow.
Good.
You know how everyone talks about fucking Jesse Eisenberg because he was in The Social Network and like good movies?
Yeah.
And no one talks about Michael Cera anymore? I want that to happen to Jesse Plemons. I want him to be that for Matt Damon.
I feel like people still talk about Michael Cera.
So a little bit, but he's not like in anything anymore.
Well, I think right now he's been busy with
Jesse Plemons.
well, I think he's been busy with Arrested Development because they're doing another season.
Oh yeah.
And the previous Arrested Development, which probably took a lot of time as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he's done some other stuff, but I don't really know off the top of my head.
Stoner comedies.
Well, I mean, recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like you said, I think 5 years ago is a good read on the stoner film things, because that's been all comedy has been for kind of a while. Which, if you don't like stoner comedies, it really sucks.
Yeah. And like even before that, in the 2000s, it was like those big gross out comedies.
Even that better, kind of.
I don't know. I put them on. I almost would say stoner comedies are a little bit better than the gross out comedies.
Well, they certainly were before the gross out comedies.
Yeah.
Like think about like Cheech and Chong and shit. That's inarguably a stoner comedy, but
oh yeah,
it's hilarious.
I mean, it's see, this is gonna sound ridiculous, but I wouldn't classify that as what I think
fucking
of.
Say Cheech.
No, I think Cheech and Chong is a comedy movie with stoners in it, not a stoner comedy, because a stoner comedy is like
Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Where it has like these ridiculous jokes that are like,
well, movies like
that
I think of movies
say,
like
dude,
The Hangover.
Yeah,
and
this
Hot Tub
this
Time
movie's
Machine and shit like that.
Hilarious when you just get down and smoke a joint and watch the movie, dude. Everything's so funny. Whereas Cheech and Chong is just kind of funny because it's about
like
a couple of fucking.
I don't know. In a way,
I kind of see what you're saying.
In a way, I guess I mean more like irreverent.
Yeah,
comedy.
Irreverent comedy. Yeah.
But I think even then, like that does a discount to good irreverent comedy, which there is some. So I don't know.
Right.
Because I think I don't know. We're arguing over definitions here again. So
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And I'm trying to think about like the board meeting, right? Like the more I think about it, the more I sort of understand why they don't do that shit. It's like, so what do the kids think is funny nowadays? We should make a comedy movie. You know, one of them good laugh up movies.
Weed is funny.
Fucking kids like memes. Are memes funny? Yeah.
No.
Do we We should make a meme movie. No.
No.
No, you should not.
Do we not? Here, let me just show you this. This is the kind of thing. Who's this Eric Andre guy? I don't understand any of this shit. I don't.
Why is he?
You know what
shooting a
kids
dude?
like?
That's not funny.
You know what kids like? Emojis. We should make an emoji movie.
Yeah, that's some good shit right there. You get a promotion.
Sir, excuse me. Immediately after we announced that we were doing this, we got so much backlash that keep the money train rolling. Just turn off your fucking blinders for that. We don't need to hear it. We don't need to see it. We don't need to speak it. Nobody's saying any bad things about our movie. We have protesters protesting against the fucking emoji. No, just... Oh my. People still gonna go see it. It's gonna be okay.
Does
game night.
Does Deadpool count as a comedy?
Oh, maybe. It very well might. Deadpool was good.
Yeah.
Deadpool 2 is apparently also good. From early reviews. So
the funny thing about Deadpool 2 was that, the funny thing about the first Deadpool movie was just that, like, it also had some of that stoner comedy mixed in with it, but it wasn't like the focus. So it.
Well, yeah, but
better.
that's like Deadpool can just that's the thing about Deadpool. It's like you make a Deadpool movie, you kind of get a free pass to do whatever the fuck you want in terms of jokes, right?
No, but you have to.
Deadpool movie wasn't made for years.
But that's the thing, like, if with that much freedom, you can really fuck it up, though. Yeah. So the fact that they were able to put it together so well is just really good. I think a lot of it kind of was on who's the other guy? Who's the co-producer guy? Not Ryan Reynolds, but the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
That guy who's in a lot of stoner comedies. I forget his name.
Rogen?
No.
I don't remember who.
You know who I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, me neither.
He played one of the bad guys in Ready Player One.
Oh, good.
He was probably one of the better parts of that movie.
All right.
Anyway.
Anyway. Game night is pretty okay. If you need a comedy movie, if you're jonesing for it, like because if you were that, then I know the feeling I was at for horror movies for like years.
T.J. Miller is who I was thinking.
Yeah.
I just think T.J. Miller is just a really funny writer.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he had a writing credit on that, but a lot of times in comedies, the actors basically are writers. So
the actors are like, oh, wait, this will be a great joke. Let me throw this in the script.
Yeah, let me just fucking do that. I think that's about all I have.
You guys played a little bit of the Stardew Valley online or multiplayer mode, rather.
We did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
we did. We were playing that with our good friend Megan, who can't be here with us today because she's probably sleeping.
Oh, no, she's awake. Hold on, I'll just message her. She'll show up in the chat. So yeah, we played Stardew Valley online, and it was fun.
God, okay, so
to clarify, it's not Stardew Valley online. It's Stardew Valley's multiplayer mode.
Yeah.
I don't want to confuse people and make people start searching for the wrong thing.
So let me describe the multiplayer mode to you. So, it's just like Stardew Valley.
But there's three.
Yeah, that's it.
But there's more people in it. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
You basically run one single farm. So, like, really, it's just kind of Stardew Valley, but easier. Because, like, and I really, really enjoy playing it, because when I played Stardew Valley, all I really was interested in was going into the mines. But I had to, like, waste all my energy and, like, okay, I can't survive just doing the mines. Like, I won't make enough money to do anything. So I have to plant these crops. I have to water them every day. I have to go down into the mines and use my half full bar of energy to get like 5 levels at a time. But the way, from my experience personally, the way that I did it, I just popped out of the thing and said, all right, time to go to the mines. And then Thel would just make $12 trillion for us while I was out killing monsters. And they were like, oh no, we need iron. We should go to the mines. And I'm like, ha 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 ha, I have iron.
Yeah.
So it's like different people can split up and do different tasks. So you progress a lot faster, but that's not really it doesn't matter that you progress a lot faster because you're just kind of like hanging out, chilling with your friends. And sure, you're all working on different things, but you can just kind of like all play it in the same server and just hang out and chat and bullshit, do all that kind of stuff.
How does the romance stuff work? Because I feel like that would be the...
So only one person can romance one character. Or you can marry another player in your game, apparently.
Huh.
It gives you no benefits, but you can do it.
Okay. That's almost disappointing because if the side people can't marry the... like, I don't know. It might be funny if two people were trying to romance the same character.
I think you could. I think two people could romance the same character, but you can't marry the same character.
Oh, okay. So you can romance, you just can't do the
yeah, like
events.
once one person marries them, then that's like they're married to that person and nobody else can romance them
unless they forget about their wife and they get a divorce.
But speaking of adultery, that's hilarious because in this patch that added multiplayer, they added apparently one other thing where if you are married and you try to romance another character, your spouse will start call you out on it. And the more other characters you have a high romance with, they'll all get in a meeting, like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and be like, "Listen, you need to stop.
In the next update,
romancing all these people."
In the next update, polygamy.
Yeah, right.
No, not in Stardew Valley. In the next update, these people get together and drive you out of the town tearfully as you are beaten by every single woman you have attempted to romance. All of their hearts
maybe
broken.
Men too.
And men too. All of your hearts and all of your bones broken. Stardew Valley doesn't fuck around with that shit. It's wonderful. I love it.
Jojo Mart buys out your farm and then the city.
Jojo Mart buys out your farm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's basically like regular. Like, have you ever wanted to play Harvest Moon or Rune Factory with your friends together?
I think Rune Factory is not. I don't think Rune Factory is a clean comparison, but
Harvest Moon isn't exactly a clean comparison because Stardew Valley has a lot more going on.
I think Harvest Moon is closer though because both of those games are mainly about farming, and I would say that Rune Factory is not mainly about farming the same way.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. In that case, let's talk about. Okay, I'll talk about the next subject. So I watched. What?
I want to say, just in case anybody doesn't know, if anybody's too lazy to look it up, in order to access the multiplayer currently as of this podcast, you have to go into the Steam beta options in the settings under the game and type in a secret code, which is just jumping Junimos.
Yeah.
I can send you the text so you can put it in the description too, Sane. Then it'll download a small update and you can access the multiplayer from there. So
yeah,
it's not live. It is a beta feature with a public access code.
I don't think it's that far off though. I think it's coming out really soon anyway to public.
Yeah, it should be. It seems basically complete. They probably just want to test for really obscure bugs. You know?
All right. Well, anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. So
I watched a movie this weekend called Lou Over the Wall, which was a Japanese animation. I don't even know how to classify it. It was an anime, but should I call it a foreign film? I don't know. Whatever the case. I don't. My theater plays all sorts of weird import films and indie films, and they're really good about having a large variety of weird things to watch. And I guess this movie has some sort of limited release right now in the United States, but it's a animated film about a group of friends and a mermaid. It's about a town that's known for having sightings of mermaids.
Okay.
And I think that's just a rough translation because I don't think Japan has a one-to-one translation of what a mermaid is. It was essentially a mermaid, but I think it's a little
like
bit
a
different
woman,
in Japanese culture.
It's like a fish woman type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the kind of the concept is mermaids are attracted to music, and the main characters are in a band together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
okay.
And the main character's kind of like has some personal issues that he's dealing with, so he's kind of standoffish with these people, or with his other band members. But as he continues playing with them, and this mermaid girl shows up, he starts getting really invested in this mermaid girl, and he spends a lot of time writing music and singing and learning how to play instruments because he wants to spend more time with this mermaid girl. So one of the biggest things about this movie is it looks kind of weird, even as far as anime goes. It's done in a very interesting painted style where it's not cel shaded like most traditional anime. Instead, it's more like flat colored, but with I don't know, with painted flat colors. So it's not heavily shadowed, and I think that that's a very intentional choice because they do use lots of shadows in the movie, because shadows are kind of a super relevant thing because mermaids aren't able to be in direct sunlight or they burn, essentially.
Okay.
So so it has this really interesting art style where it's kind of like a flat coloring with often colored or very thin or even sometimes non-existent outlines. So you have kind of this weird blending of an interesting set of styles, and certain characters look significantly different than others based on how they're drawn, in addition to how they are shaped. One of the characters is like a large shark man, and that's Blue's father. Blue being the mermaid girl, who's kind of the main character from the title Lou Over the Wall. And I was noticing this too during some of the more heavily animated and faster parts of the films, or the film, in that, in traditional animation, a lot of times you animate on twos. That means for every 2 frames you have 1 new image. So in a 24 frame per second film, you would have 12 images per second. In American animation, what they'll often do, and they do this some in Japanese animation, but much less than American animation, they'll have smears, which is like when you draw kind of a blurry whoosh between 2 animation keyframes.
Right.
Well, this was very interesting and weird because it looked like it was animated on 2s, but it was doing stretches and blurs, but not at a faster frame rate. Because what they'll often do when animating on 2s is they'll insert extra drawings between multiple frames to indicate extra motion,
right.
To make the animation faster. Whereas this looked like it was still animated on 2s, but instead it looked more like the models were being broken.
Right.
So it has this really weird, interesting, and kinetic look to it when it's animated and it's in motion, especially in some of the faster dancing scenes. So it's very interesting to look at.
I've seen some videos, and it really is. I'm really excited to see this movie.
Yeah, I as far as a lot of the animated films I've seen this year, it's probably definitely up there as one of the better ones. A nice thing I kind of really enjoy about watching Japanese films, like Japanese animated films in particular is they don't follow a lot of the traditional story structure the same way that American films are kind of almost
nailed to.
Yeah.
Like expected to do, yeah.
Well, I don't even think it's necessarily like intentional per se. I think it's just like, you know, you write things and there's kind of like these patterns of how people teach each other how to write and how when giving each other advice about how to tighten up structure, like the plot and pacing of a film.
It all sort of comes out as samey. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
and I'm like I'm not ragging on traditional story structure in scripts and whatever, because while that can be limiting to some extent, in a lot of ways it does help with pacing and stuff. There is like reasons why that's done, but it's really interesting to watch foreign films of any kind because a lot of times they don't take those same cues. So instead you get like what might feel is slightly oddly paced in places, but still has like, but it has more to do with it's just structured differently. And it's really refreshing to watch after watching lots of American films. And this is a movie that doesn't, like, it almost feels like it has sort of a traditional arc and then it keeps going. So I don't know, it's really interesting. And it was really refreshing to watch after having watched something like Avengers, which felt like it was very much structured very intentionally.
Safely.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say safely because Avengers Infinity War in particular is kind of a special case in general, I would say, but
which you'll hear about more later if you're...
Yeah, we'll talk about that later in the podcast if you want to hear spoilers, but I really enjoyed this film, and it was really like, it was a really refreshing film to watch. I don't know. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you have the ability to. So
yeah.
I know that it can be kind of hard to check out some of these films when you live in the forest.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's released on Blu-ray or whatever soon. And I watched it in Japanese with English subtitles, and you know, it was all good.
Okay.
So no complaints there.
What was I thinking? Yeah. If you want to see a Japanese art tour, go way the fuck outside. Sion Sono. Oh boy.
How is that spelled? Is that O-N?
What?
How is that spelled?
SIONSONO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just asking because Japanese can be hard to like.
Yeah.
Hard to pronounce for an English speaker.
There's another thing I was looking for. Yeah, I just wanted to bring him up. I haven't seen one of his movies recently. Even though he releases like 2 movies every year, but yeah. Oh, that's what I was doing. But we'll talk about him later in the news.
All right.
That's all I got.
For the King. Do we want to talk about that?
Oh
yeah. Let's all talk about For the King while we're on.
Yeah, I wanted to save For the King for last since we had all played it.
Yeah. So we all played For the King finally, like together.
Yes.
And so
on
one of the
too.
problems, on stream too. So one of the problems that me and Sane, when we were playing it together, ran into is it is a 3-player game. So if you play it with 2 people, one person has to control 2 characters and the other person only gets 1. The first thing I noticed when the 3 of us played it together is it made it 10 times more fun. Like I was the person playing one character, and even though like I essentially was waiting the same amount of time between turns and stuff, it made it more fun to discuss strategies between 3 people and like do different things like that. And each person wanted to build their own character their own way instead of one person controlling 2 characters and having to manage both of them together.
Plus, it makes you make different kinds of choices. Like, you might balance what gear you have between your 2 characters rather than putting it all on your everything relevant onto one character.
Yeah, onto one character you like. Yeah. We just like we I think we got to like level 9. We were damn close to the end of the game, and we finally just ate it. We went into a dungeon that we should have been able to handle, and we couldn't even handle the first fight.
Yeah.
It was just it was a great experience. I really love For the King, but I kind of like covered it last week. So Thel, why don't you like talk about the things that stood out to you?
The game is it's got a very, very simple, stripped down turn-based combat system that's really, really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. It's crazy how fun it is, and I think that the linchpin that makes it the most fun is that when you change up your weapons, it changes up the abilities that you have to do in combat. So each weapon has its own abilities that you can use. So every time you get a new weapon, you're like, oh, well, this does more damage, sure, but do I really want to lose the ability to hit all 3 enemies?
Yeah.
Do I really want to lose that like sleep attack that I have, or whatever, you know? So like you don't get character-based progression, but as far as abilities go, you don't get new abilities to your character. You get new abilities on your equipment.
Yeah, and it can create huge shifts in strategy when you switch between more than one weapon.
Yeah,
so, like
for
you,
sure.
you for a while you can have like Thel was using a weapon that was predominantly like buff and debuff based, and he was using that for most of the game. And later on, he had the option to get a more damage focused one, but based on how we were playing, he decided to stick with what he had. But if he had chose that damage based thing, it would have totally changed how we had to work together in that game.
Yeah.
So
that did happen with me at one point. So I was using like a one-handed weapon and a shield for the longest time, and I had basically focused my character dead set on like armor and resistance to reduce as much damage as I could. Because if you have a shield equipped, you can taunt enemies and force them to only attack you. At one point, I found a weapon that I had like a 10 damage weapon, and everybody else had like 13, 14 damage or something weapons. And I just found a weapon that was a giant fucking mallet. And I mean like comically oversized Looney Tunes mallet. And it did like 50 damage. And I tried it once, and it had like 25% chance to roll a success. And so every turn I was just missing and missing and missing, and I couldn't taunt, and everything was just going awful. So I switched from a weapon that had like 50 damage on it back to my sword and shield, which was like significantly lower damage, but much better in the long run because of how our team had set up.
Although I don't think it was even necessarily that. I think with that particular weapon, you had the trade-off that it was super inaccurate.
Yeah.
In exchange for having a really ridiculous amount of damage.
Yeah.
So it was a trade-off, but I think that was what your problem was more than our group strategy. But I think that...
But eventually I did switch to a two-handed weapon instead of my shield, and I think that like things went better because we were killing faster, but things at the same time went worse because like when people were dying, I didn't have the option to try to force them to attack me, who is the most damage resistant character of the three of us for sure.
Right. I don't remember what I was gonna say now.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, so I really enjoy For the King.
Yeah, if you got like
it was a lot more fun than I expected.
Like it's I haven't even tried it single player. It's probably pretty fun single player if you're into games like that, but like the experience is just really elevated if you just got a couple of friends you can grab, spend like I think the game's like $10 or something.
I think it's 13 for each copy at least.
Yeah, just spend a little bit on For the King for a couple friends. The experience is elevated by like
it's $20.
It's like exponentially elevated to play it with your friends.
It's $20 because I think it just came out of early access, and I think I think we got it for a little bit cheaper because we got it right before it came out.
Yeah. But like seriously, definitely like having played it with 3 people that or 3 people including myself, all people that I really just enjoy the company of, and
yourself.
we mesh together, including myself. Yes. And we really mesh together, and like we're good at strategizing, and we play video games together all the time. So if you got a couple people you just play video games with all the time, For the King is a really, really great option for you.
It's really interesting that it's 3-player instead of 4-player, because a lot of times games like that go for 4 players, which always leaves us with an empty slot most of the time, because we don't hang out with anyone as consistently as we hang out with each other. So
yeah,
at least not all 4 of us.
Right. So like even in Divinity, Saint just controls 2 characters, but like like this one's exactly 3 people. Well, maybe it works better for us than other people, but it's really fun to play with your friends. Kind of thinking about it, I don't imagine it would be as fun to play by yourself, just because you have to manage everything. But when you're playing,
well, not any more than a normal multiplayer RPG. The only thing is on the board level you would have to move 3 characters, but that can be fine.
Yeah, it's true. It's a pretty unique concept, all in all, I want to say. Like it obviously combines a bunch of concepts from other things, but like as a whole, it's pretty unique in its gameplay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like it a lot.
Definitely.
All right, let's head into some news.
Okay.
We're about an hour in. Yeah. I was actually gonna do that.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. But yeah, we're gonna go to a break, so we'll be back at, I don't know, how about 5:05?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
All right. You just set the timer here, 5:05. All right, we will be back in a couple minutes. All right, we're back. Second half of the show. We'll talk about news. Well, I say second half, but we're probably going to talk about Infinity War spoilers at the end as well. So
we're talking about Infinity War spoilers the entire time and just like browse over news, the little of it that it is.
Okay.
What news?
Yeah, why don't we start with movie news, I guess.
Okie dokie, I can give that stuff a start. I don't mind either way. All right. First thing, and probably the biggest thing, Leica announces their new movie, Missing Link, about a Bigfoot. Still gonna be stop motion. It's going to be their quote-unquote most ambitious film yet. They built a fuck ton of sets for it. They've been working on it for a little while now.
They said that about every movie so far.
And it's been true.
Well, fair enough.
I mean, Coraline specifically was their like when that was their most ambitious film. That was probably the biggest, most ambitious film, because at that point it was they hadn't exactly made like a film before, so you know it was really great.
Coraline will be our most ambitious film yet. So you haven't made a film yet? Exactly.
I know exactly. We've so far our company has been devoted to, we haven't done anything at all yet. So Coraline's going to be hugely ambitious in that it is something that we have done, and it was great. And then Kubo had the biggest skeleton ever made in stop motion, and
that was cool too.
Yeah, it was great.
No kidding.
And it's Paranorman was great, and Boxtrolls is there too. So yeah. Like a new Leica movie. Are you excited? You should be. Are you not? B. Give them money this time. I mean, they don't really need it, but give them money anyway.
I hope it's not Boxtrolls. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough.
Boxtrolls is our most ambitious movie
was,
yet.
you know, okay, and that was a problem. Kubo was great.
Compared to like every other Leica movie, which was like,
yeah,
Boxtrolls
buddy.
Okay.
Yeah. Boxtrolls was so weird. It's like, yeah, it's okay. It's I mean, I expect this quality from Illumination Animation, like but not from you. Anyway, new thing came out. Netflix has ordered Del Toro do a miniseries, a little horror anthology series.
Excellent.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. Thanks, Netflix.
Do we know anything about it, or is just the title?
It's we don't even know the title. They just have sent out an order for Guillermo del Toro to make some horror anthology.
This article literally says the streaming giant has ordered Guillermo del Toro presents 10 After Midnight.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right,
So we do know the title,
all right, yeah, okay. So
or
that's
at least the working title.
that's
Guillermo del Toro presents Project Infinity, or whatever the fuck the stupid X-Bone was called.
So yeah, I'm excited for Guillermo del Toro to do his own scary stories to tell in the dark. I'm happy about that. Next, we talked a little bit about this completely before the podcast, so you were completely unaware of that, so we're going to talk about it now. Paul W.S. Anderson, a man who you may get confused with Wes Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson, good directors, the bad trash garbage director of the Mila Jovovich starring fucking Resident Evil movies, is going to make a Monster Hunter movie. No.
And Mila Jovovich is cast as one of the lead characters.
That's the only reason she has a job anymore, because she's terrible. She was only good in one movie, and that movie was one where she had to like act like an alien, because she kind of was.
I wonder if she's a better actor than. Well, I mean, she's probably not that much of a better actor, but maybe it's also really bad directing too, though.
Oh, yeah.
That makes her acting
but then again,
worse.
She has been in movies with other directors, like what was this, like Ultraviolet or something? Yeah, it was Ultraviolet. That's what it was.
Okay, but that movie was bad up and down. Like, that was not her fault.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That movie was not necessarily Mila Jovovich's fault, but she was definitely a factor in the bad of that movie. Did you know that she
I don't know, man. The script was so bad. I don't know how anyone could have done anything with that. I don't know.
Fair enough.
If the acting notes were half as bad as the actual plot was, then like I don't know.
Like, seriously, like after the Twilight movies came out, everybody shit on every single actor in those, and like every other movie they've done is decent except for the lady.
Yeah, she's well. That's not true at all. You're just thinking of the dude who was in a Cronenberg film. Fucking A. Anyway, also another thing about Mila Jovovich, she has basically fucked every director she's worked with.
She was also in The Fourth Kind, which was actually a pretty good movie.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Apparently she's cast in the Hellboy movie that's coming out soon.
Oh boy. I know that she's.
But Guillermo del Toro isn't directing it, so who cares?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
that's how I felt about Pacific Rim. That's how I feel about this Hellboy movie. But yeah, I know that
she, because I like Hellboy.
She like divorced the director of The Fifth Element, and that was about the time that his career fell apart. Rest in peace, Mila Jovovich, stealer of hearts, stealer of dicks. Stealer of acting talent, or not. Okay, well, that's all we have to say about that. That looks like a horrible, fucking terrible thing. I'm not excited for it.
Did you know Mila Jovovich was in King of the Hill?
I would. What? Who did she play?
Not.
She wasn't a regular character. She was Serena Shaw.
No, whoever the fuck that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought that was funny.
I don't think this is a horrible, terrible thing as some might make it out to be.
Me.
Like, this dude's just gonna make a Monster Hunter movie. Like, okay, nobody's gonna see it, it's gonna fail, and then everybody's gonna forget about it.
The problem I have is that this man is still working in Hollywood and still has, like, the ability to make money in an artistic medium that he's terrible at. Just fuck off a lot.
Okay, well, that's
goddamn. Like, people call him a hack, but someone at some point needs to think that he was good. Like to reach that, right?
I just wish that people who cared about the video games would be in charge of making some of these video game movies, and they never are.
Yep.
Yeah, like,
he's like
seriously.
A big budget U-Bowl. How does he keep doing it? How does he make money? I don't know.
Like
it's like
movie-based games are often bad, and video game-based movies are often bad.
Well, because and comic book movies were bad for a long time too. It took.
Yeah.
Well, other than arguably I wouldn't even say arguably the Matt Reeves Superman films. Other than those ones, and like Blade, I guess.
Yeah.
Like X-Men to.
Yeah, all of them have been pretty garbage.
Up until recently.
Kevin Feige, like someone who actually really cares about Marvel as a property and
I would
stories.
go even before that. I would go with like back in the 90s, like X-Men. X-Men was 99.
No,
Like,
that movie was bad. First X-Men was bad. It was again because someone who didn't really know the property that well was in charge of it.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was meh. It wasn't super good, but it definitely did popularize the comic.
X2 was better. But
the
first X-Men movie, the first X-Men movie was bad in my
X-Men movie, in your expert opinion.
Yeah, I won't argue
really
that
gone up and
like,
down.
It especially compared to a lot of the superhero movies today. That one was surprising. Like, I watched it, like it was like, wow, that was
I barely liked it at the time, and I'm someone who's pretty forgiving when it comes to movies.
Yeah.
So
X2 was pretty good, and they busted out the Raimi Spider-Man films and Darkman. The Raimi.
Oh yeah, that's
film
true.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 1 and 2 was pretty good as well.
Yeah. I swear there was a really good comic book movie that sort of pushed it out. Not X-Men. X-Men was the one that got really popular.
X-Men, yeah, it was commercially good.
Yeah, commercially.
Right.
And
popular.
Spider-Man was like, I don't know how anyone could like. Well, I mean, I say that, but then they did the Amazing Spider-Man movies. But I was gonna say I don't know how anyone could mess up a Spider-Man movie and not make a lot of money. But
yeah,
we can there's so many numerous examples that just point to this exact thing, and it's obvious when you think about it. If they don't care about the property, they're not going to make a good movie because they don't know what people like about the property. For example,
that's not even necessarily that. If they made a movie that was very, very like aside from the property, like if they if they did something like fucking Alan Moore did, read the property, went, this is shit, I can do better. He made Watchmen, and
that's not the same thing, though. Like that would be like saying if somebody read Watchmen and then said, "This is shit, I can do better," and then made the Watchmen movie, and they did not do that. They did not do better. They did worse.
No. The problem was, what's his name? Snyder. Zack Snyder was like, he was like, I'm a huge fan of the Watchmen. But unfortunately, I'm dumb as hell.
But like what I'm saying is when you convert these things into different media that's supposed to be similar, like you have to have a genuine interest in the property, who is doing these conversions. Like, for example, like the Chronicles of Riddick games, like Vin Diesel really likes video games, and he was obviously invested in the movies because he was the main character. So
he was actually the main producer as well.
Yeah, and the producer, sure.
He basically owned those movies.
He was so he was a significant creative consultant with the video games, and as a result, they're like one of the only good examples of video game movies because the person who essentially created them.
You mean, movie video games, but
movie video games, right. Other way around. Yeah, my bad. Because the person who essentially created them both liked the medium that they were in and was invested in the original source material.
And they're essentially canon to the story because they take place kind of between, or they're basically prequels to Pitch Black. Right. So they're actually like, I think Dark Athena is also after Chronicles, or after Escape from Butcher Bay, but before Pitch Black again too.
Right.
Actually, well, I don't remember when that one takes place. It might take place after Pitch Black. I'm not sure. But yeah.
But the point is that the person making them both,
right.
It was a twofold thing. They were both passionate about what it was being turned into and the source material.
So you have to kind of be in a situation where you're a skilled movie creator who already read comic books, and that's kind of why Kevin Feige did so well, was because he wasn't super into the comics from what I heard. He was mainly interested in the TV shows because he grew up on those Saturday morning cartoons.
But
the
TV
same way.
shows are also
right. Those are closer.
Most superhero shows are pretty good to the comic books.
So he when he was doing Iron Man, he thought of Iron Man as his baby. He wanted it to do well. Like, he was very invested in that movie doing well. And as a result, it created the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and now here we are.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He got oh, well, who's the director? He got John Fairview to direct that movie. Yeah. I do think that is still like a little bit of an oversimplification, though. Like, for instance, what's his name?
I mean, I'll grant you that that's not all it takes, but I do think like, that is an important aspect.
Jodorowsky was not like invested in like the Dune book at all, and he was going to make like a completely different thing, but it was probably going to be incredible. Like,
sure.
Well, I don't think you can say that because you don't. There's no way to say like, it was probably going to be incredible without having seen it. I don't know. It could come out and it could have been trash. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, based on all of the design documents and all of the which
it could have also come out and been like the whole movie as itself could have been so far removed from Dune that it could have come up against the criticism of why even make it Dune and why not just make your own thing. And that's
the criticism he's even received for like in the documentary. But making good art is not necessarily going to go exactly with the tide, you know. You gotta adapt.
So, but that doesn't answer the question. Why not just make your own thing?
Yeah, but then at that point, it's not even an adaptation. It's just straight up something else with a name on it. Yeah. And if anything, that just looks like a cash grab.
Here's the thing. It wasn't adaptation in that it had very much the same theming, but it had like a completely different ending and was much more metaphysical. Basically, it took all of the
ultimately, my point is we can't really compare it to that because we don't know what that final product would have been.
Right.
So
I suppose
it doesn't matter like the specifics of what
we can pretty easily extrapolate based on Jodorowsky's previous films, which are like he has a very, very distinct style, and also the fact that we have like all of the designs documents, like the direct scripts, all of the concept art, basically everything was in place except he needed like a studio to produce it and he couldn't get it. Like the movie was basically
I just think it's bad to I would have been more accepting if you had given like an actual movie that had come out than something that was kind of in development hell. I don't know.
Right.
What were we talking about? Paul W.S. Anderson's fucking terrible movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
Paul
Okay,
W.S. Anderson probably has never fucking played a Monster Hunter game, for sure. That's why he has to go with the storyline of some dude gets transported to Monster Hunter. You see this dragon? I think it breathes fire.
Yeah.
And that's the movie.
I think he listed some of the things he actually liked about it, and one of the things he listed was that like they had such a good variety of like locations, so he was really interested in the sand ships in the deserts and stuff. So he was interested in like the thematic elements of it and the like.
But in fairness,
environment design of it, but
I still don't believe that points to him having ever played a Monster Hunter game.
Oh no, that's not what I'm saying. But
because Jean Moran is the specific fight that he's talking about. It happens once, but it is absolutely one of the most iconic fights in Monster Hunter, period. So, like, of course he knows about it.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard. I don't know what it is, so he's obviously done at least some research into it, but
fair enough.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe he hasn't played it, but maybe you don't have to necessarily have played it to make a good thing adapted from it, but you have to like actually treat the source material with respect, I would say. You know, and be a good director in the first place.
That's kind of more of the linchpin of what Thel's talking about, at least.
I think that
some of its
like
parts.
the movies.
I think Thel and I probably agree on the baseline. It's just what we give weight to is what's different.
Yeah. Like, the movie's probably going to be bad because he's a bad director, because he's done video game movies before, which he just doesn't give a shit about, it feels.
Well, and not only that, like, every movie he's directed has Like a lot of people do give a lot of like credence to what was that? The one where they literally go to hell in the spaceship. Event Horizon. A lot of people give a lot of credence to that, but it wasn't the best movie, let's be honest. That's some spooky stuff in it, but it wasn't a very well directed movie. He hasn't
I didn't
made
actually know he made Event Horizon, but
yeah, he hasn't really made a good movie ever at any time.
well, I think you could call Event Horizon a good movie, but you could also call that a fluke.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I would call it a good movie. I would call it a movie that had some good moments in it.
Yeah, well.
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember it that well either way. So
yeah. The next one, the last piece of movie news is Nicolas Cage is going to be in a Sion Sono film. If you don't know who Sion Sono is, imagine you know all of those things that you see on like Reddit or wherever, where people are like, "Wow, Japan is so weird. Look at this weird thing Japan did. Wow." Imagine a director who just takes that and embraces it to its full possible extent, and then takes it another step beyond. That's Sion Sono. He's wonderful, and I love him.
Wait, one second.
Uh-huh.
I just looked at his writing credits. He wrote the screenplay for Alien vs. Predator. Which is funny because we were literally just talking about that last night.
That was not like a random conversation. That popped up specifically because of what we were doing.
No, I know. Well, I mean, it was in the content. I mean, it's a funny coincidence, regardless.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, right. Fair enough.
But yeah, and I don't think that was a good movie, but I don't think it was a bad movie. I don't know.
It was pretty well received as a bad movie. Anyway,
it was fun.
I liked it, but it probably wasn't a good movie.
I didn't say it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway, Sion Sono, wonderful director. I've unfortunately only seen 2 of his movies. Like every time I watch one of his movies, I'm like, wow, I need to go back in my backlog and watch the rest of this motherfucker's stuff.
Are there any of his movies that I might recognize the name of?
Why Don't You Play in Hell? Tokyo Tribe. Love Exposure. He only makes Japanese language movies.
Okay.
No, I didn't think so, but I wanted to throw a couple at you just in case. Because maybe because at one point I tried to get everyone to watch Tokyo Tribe and like no one was interested in it, which is really disappointing because it's the best hip opera ever made.
I don't watch Japanese movies. I only watch anime.
It was
okay.
It's a wonderful movie. Why Don't You Play in Hell is another one of the it's one of those great movies about making movies, and if ever I have like an actual film club, I'm going to name it the Fuck Bombers and no one can stop me. But yeah, he's coming to English speaking audiences with a new movie starring Nicolas Cage. Oh fucking boy, I am excited for this shit. It's going to be called Prisoners of the Ghostland, and it's going to be great. He's never ever going to get in like a mainstream Hollywood meeting room or like near an executive because they'll be like, ew, oh, get that thing away from me. But he's a wonderful director. If you haven't seen any of the movies that I have mentioned, go watch them. Why Don't You Play in Hell is the one I would suggest you start with. It's the one I started with. It's a pretty sort of light walk into it. It's not like Love Exposure, which is like a 3.5 hour insanity fest, which is one of the ones that's been on my backlist. But yeah, go watch Sion Sono's movies. They're fucking great. They're goddamn insane, and I love them. I love them so much. So yeah, and that's it for movie news.
That was short.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't much to talk about.
As news is these days.
Yeah, we got fucking Canes on movies and E3 coming up in games, so there's not exactly anything happening.
Yep, so we'll talk about gaming news, of which there is some.
Alright, I have a bit of I'm gonna have to enlarge this image just to be sure.
Yeah, no, it is.
Looking
It's
at
exactly
our
what you
news-
think it is.
Okay. You continue. You go on. That is exactly what it is.
I'll just put it on the... Here, hold on.
No, because I looked at that, like, it's on, like, my secondary screen, so it's kind of tiny. I'm like, doesn't look fucking right at
I
all.
love
This
this
is,
image.
What is going on?
It's so good.
Just for
Yeah,
anyone who's
anyway.
listening to just the audio, it is Gabe Newell as Thanos.
Yeah.
Abe Newell.
Abe Newell.
Anyway,
It's so
Abe
good.
Newell.
so the date for the Steam summer sale was leaked. This person has been very accurate in the past. The date is June 21st, which is a week from today, the day that we're
I don't
recording
even,
this
like,
podcast.
I don't even what? No, June 21st. This month is
June.
May.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
A
It's a
month and
month.
a week
It's a
from
month
today.
from next
Month
week.
from next week, yeah.
My bad.
Now
Why
that
the fuck did they post Thanos? Why is this even Thanos, though?
to make you click on it?
Because
I-
Thanos. Because Infinity War is very popular and Gabe Newell is funny. So they just
Yeah.
want to
Why
put
does it
Gabe Newell on
sound like
everything.
one of those regular ass pictures I know you have on the on the back. You have saved in that poster. It's like you zoom in on Gabe Newell's like face, just him looking like the fucking money's coming, bitch.
Because they
Give
want
me that
to.
money,
Because people
slide.
like to blend that picture, that one picture of Gabe Newell, with literally everything. It's just
I
like
finally-
that Tom Howard picture. They're like,
I finally
Todd
found
Howard.
all of the
Yeah.
Infinity Stones. The Summer Sale Stone, the Winter Sale Stone, the Steam Sale Stone, the Autumn Sale Stone.
It just has like all of the yeah. I guess that's it. I mean, that's what the images of.
In order
Very
to get the
literally.
coupon stone, you have to give up what you love. Your money.
anyway.
Thanks, video game journalism.
Yeah, that was a
Anyway,
very
that
good
was-
picture, but yeah.
That's
why I said it. That's why I
said.
said it's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Now I want to say real quick, I don't know why people even bother leaking the Steam summer sale dates or like the winter sale dates. It's like the winter sale's gonna come sometime in like September or November-ish.
I feel like
summer
it's.
sale's
I
gonna
feel
come...
like it's always within the same like 3 weeks every year. So it's
Yeah.
like
yeah, like what's the point of even leaking the dates?
well,
like,
because
why
people
doesn't
care
Steam
about it.
just-
That's the thing. Like
Why
it-
doesn't Steam just put it on the same fucking day? Their dates always get leaked.
because they
It's
don't
not like
want
it's a
because they
secret.
can't put it on the same day because then people would stop buying stuff.
In
Like,
fact, I have
it's-
a better question, right?
they don't want people to save up for it. Is why.
Fair
Oh,
enough.
okay, all right.
Like
Makes
that is a very intentional thought process. They don't want people to save for it.
But people are gonna buy more during the sale. Like that's the point of a sale.
No,
You
yeah,
put things
and
on sale and people
but
buy
here's
and
the thing.
spend more money than they
here's
would
the
have.
thing. There's two categories of people who buy anything. They're informed consumers and everyone else.
Okay,
They
fair
don't
enough.
if they're having very obvious, like always the same time every year things, then everybody would start having buying patterns to informed consumers, and that's bad for business. That's
Fair enough.
why the Steam sale moves at all.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
that
it's
makes
like,
sense.
why even buy something that comes out like 3 days ago? The Steam sale's gonna be tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's like, if there's any amount of certainty, then you look at something you might buy and you go, well, Steam sale's coming in 3 weeks, I don't need to buy it. Whereas if you do it within 2 weeks, then you can just get a refund anyway. So it's like they don't want
Yeah.
people to save for a longer period of time because they'd rather people just impulse buy.
right.
Um,
Makes sense.
so yeah, it's a very intentional business decision, which is like for better or worse. I don't know.
Right.
The fact that they have huge Steam sales in the first place is like nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice for consumers, and I'm sure it's great for them because, like, I have spent like I've looked at a game that I really want and been like $30, and then like on the Steam sale it's like $25, and then I'll buy that and like 4 other games and wind
Yeah.
up spending like 70. So it's good for them and it's great for me because I get more.
Yeah. So,
So June 21st,
Yes.
you can now be in the informed consumer category and save your money.
If you're watching this podcast, you're probably already in the informed consumer.
Yeah.
But
Fair enough.
okay, moving on. So Overwatch put out a Pink Mercy skin for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. So
Not Susan G. Komen.
So all
This,
of the
yes.
all of the,
I was gonna say that.
Hey, let me finish fucking talking. All of the
Yeah.
profits will be donated to the foundation.
Yes.
It'll be available until May 21st, which is a week from when we're recording.
Yes, May 21st.
And it costs $15. And it's direct purchase too.
I don't
Yeah,
think it's
you don't
like
have to-
all of
you
the
don't have to
I don't
loot
think it's
box
like
it.
all of the profits in like a Newman's Own way. I think it's like all of the money they make from it.
It says all proceeds.
Oh yeah,
all
proceeds.
proceeds,
Yeah,
meaning everything,
Everything.
that
they make. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all revenue.
So like you pay $15 and all 15 of those dollars go to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation.
Yeah.
Right.
And this now I want to point out, like Thel said briefly, this is the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, the one that uses a majority of its funds to actually research cures and things for breast cancer.
Not like 80% to exist and 20% to do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so like there's these rumors floating around that pink ribbon is just a bad symbol because of one particular breast research foundation. I forget what it's called already.
Oh, that happens with literally every like charity foundation. You have to actually look into specific charities to see what they do with their money. It's kind of terrible.
But with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, people always get it confused with the Susan G. Cronin Foundation or whatever. Komen. People get it confused and they say the Breast Cancer Research Foundation is bad because they don't spend any money on breast cancer research. They just stuff their pockets. And it's not that foundation. It is the Susan G. Cronin Foundation is the one that basically like has allegations of doing that. This foundation is basically like nonprofit, all proceeds, pretty much all profit to breast cancer research. So don't be too afraid to purchase this particular skin because you're worried your money is being wasted if you care about the breast cancer research side and not just the sick looking skin. Because it looks pretty good. I like it.
There is also a shirt available on the Blizzard store. I'm not sure if all 100% of that will go to charity. It's probably profit.
Yeah, that's profit.
Shirt.
Probably profit. Whereas digital sales they can just
that's research and development rather than. But that can actually stuff like this. What people don't understand about stuff like this when it comes to companies is they can spend their Blizzard as a company can spend their marketing budget on something like this. Rather than their. So it probably doesn't even hurt them and in terms of.
No, certainly not at all.
And the people.
I mean, they aren't really spending any money on this to create a skin for this. I mean, they're spending time and effort, whatever, but it's probably coming out of their marketing fund, which so it probably.
And in addition, they probably can write off a lot of the donations on taxes as well.
Yeah,
but
so it's not super altruistic when any company does something like this, but it is a cool thing.
But I mean, hey, they're giving money to breast cancer.
Who cares if the company is being altruistic?
Well, all I'm saying is that while we're talking about charities doing weird things and stuff like that, I think it might be worth mentioning. But but either way, there's a shirt and a skin, and there's community live streams going on. I believe on Twitch. There's a schedule somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
Yeah, there is a schedule somewhere. Particular Twitch streams, if you have your Blizzard account linked, can give you drops for watching them, I believe.
Right.
like special drops, like emotes that relate to breast cancer research or sprays, avatars, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. It's a way to promote streamers, which I'm always excited about. Even if they're partnered streamers and whatnot, and they have a deal with Blizzard, still promoting anybody who's trying to make it in this kind of business, if you will, is just a good thing to do. Yeah. And then of course cancer research. Like this is all good, regardless
looks
of
like
Blizzard's altruism or not. You know,
it looks like you can get like 5 sprays if you watch 6 hours. So it's like 2 hours gets you 1 spray, 4 hours gets you another 2 sprays, and then 6 hours gets you another 2 sprays. So it's like a total of 5 if you watch 6 hours of charity streams.
Yeah, that's pretty nifty.
And these sprays are actually pretty good looking too. So, yeah, there's that. That's kind of cool. I'll probably pick the skin up because I like Mercy anyway, and the skin looks.
I like the skin. Yeah,
the skin looks so good.
Like a lot. Go peek that skin. No, it does have pigtails, Sane.
I know that is like one of the biggest drawbacks for me. I'm like, she has pigtails though, because I hate pigtails. I think it looks very unattractive.
Yeah, she just looks like very magical girly, I guess, and pigtails are a very magical girl thing.
Yeah, so, I tolerate it. Just like it's very Madoka-esque, and I tolerated her pigtails, so I don't know.
Exactly, yeah.
In less happy news, well, I guess it depends on who you're talking to, I guess.
Depends on if you like watching things sink and burn and then being like, haha, I caused that because you're dumb, or if
Studio
like,
Boss
no.
Key is closing down. They're the developers of Lawbreakers and the recent Radical Heights that came out.
Apparently Radical Heights didn't do as well as I thought.
Apparently it was a battle royale Hail Mary that was too little too late. And everybody saw it as a cynical cash grab, and in a lot of ways it was, but I wanted it to work out because I like Boss Key.
They didn't even hide it being a cynical cash grab. The goal of the game is to go and grab cash.
So
like,
so it sounds like all of those games are going to be closed down. I don't know what. Yeah,
all 4 of you who play Lawbreakers may be disappointed. Radical Heights is a little more disappointing to more people, I'm sure.
Yeah, and they said the pivot to free to play for Lawbreakers would have been too resource heavy, so they couldn't do it. And apparently, Radical Heights' game servers are expected to remain up for the near future, but I wouldn't count on them being here in 6 months or maybe a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. And also, it's not going to be updated anymore, so.
And it's barely functional as it is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so
it's sad, but
yeah.
It is what it is.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not that big of a fan of Cliff Bleszinski as you guys are. He made like a Quake 3 ripoff and Gears of War, which I never thought was that great.
He made Unreal Tournament.
Yeah, the Quake 3 ripoff.
You know,
okay.
I'm okay.
But,
we can't talk about this right now.
Okay, yeah.
Fucking Quake is shit based on.
When you simplify it that way, of course it sounds bad, but Unreal Tournament's like one of the most influential arena shooters of all time.
It's one of the most influential first-person shooters of all time.
Yeah.
You're thinking of Quake 3. Quake 3 was bad, and then
it's in its own right. It's just as influential, if not more. Anyway, we need to move on because we are gonna get sucked into an argument if we keep going this way. So if you missed the NES Classic when it came out the first time, they're going to put it back in. So it's back in production. So they're going to put them back on shelves June 29th.
If you happen to be one of the 25 people who got an NES Classic, you can just tune out now for the next couple of minutes.
You could, and if you're not, you could be one of the 25 people who gets the re-release.
Well, now you can be one of 50 owners of the NES Classic.
I mean, we joke, but actually, when the SNES Classic came out, they actually did a lot better with scale and stuff. So, like, even now, so it's a lot easier to get the SNES Classic than it ever was to get the NES Classic, and now the second printing of this is
Nintendo kind of always does this. They just, for some reason, even though they are like a video game giant, they always underestimate the number of people who want to buy their shit.
Well, I think this.
I just don't understand why.
I think in this game,
especially bad.
I think in this case, it's a little bit more understandable because they weren't targeting the gamer market the same way. They were targeting like more casual
market
people
almost.
and didn't anticipate the hardcore market, like,
which is just
totally
fucking
demolishing it. I don't think it's
that's
that dumb.
really strange.
No,
It's
I don't
not
think
dumb.
it's...
I just feel it's strange. Like if you think about it, who are the hardcore gamers nowadays? They're the people who grew up with Nintendo consoles, like the
But
NES
here's the
and
thing.
SNES
Yeah,
specifically.
sure, but there's a huge, gigantic number of people who the last thing they played was the NES. Like, and didn't stay a gamer.
Right.
And they didn't expect the people who already had access to all of these games through Virtual Console to be interested in having a standalone thing necessarily. Like,
Fair
I
enough.
totally understand why they underestimated demand, but it's just a little crazy how demanded this thing is, because really this is like, you could make one of these yourselves for less with a Raspberry
Yeah.
Pi. So
Yeah, easily. But there's something about like having the legitimate.
oh
Like,
sure, but
yeah,
and
Especially-
the actual
especially
like
because
physical
it's
thing
so
is kind of
limited.
cool looking, but
Yeah. Like,
But-
especially because it's such a limited thing, it's pretty cool to have, you know.
Yeah.
Like for somebody who really cares about like collecting stuff like that. Hopefully they'll have a much larger stock of it this time. Like that's all I really have to say.
yeah. I mean, I'm
Did
sure
we
they will.
actually-
I think it would be impossible for them not to at this point,
Did
because
we
they got
actually
out a
give
lot of the people who were interested in it the first time. So, what?
Did we actually give a date? Because it says it will return to stores in Europe and the United States on June 29th.
I did give the date.
Okay, I missed it.
I don't know what this Path of Exile thing is, so why don't you go ahead and take the lead?
Okay, so this is an announcement. It will be starting June 1st. Path of Exile's new league. So if you're not familiar with Path of Exile, the way that they kind of keep the ball rolling and keep the player interest in the game is one of the things they do is every 3 months they start a new league where it's similar enough to the Diablo 2 ladders that people liked so much, except they introduce new game mechanics as well. So you start a fresh character, and you're not necessarily racing, but your goal is to start from scratch and get as far as you can in the 3-month time period that the league exists. They've done numerous of these leagues, but this new one that I want to be talking about is called Incursion. And I'll probably be announcing the new Path of Exile League every 3 months because I always go back to it. Incursion adds a very interesting new mechanic that I like a lot. So essentially what you're doing is like lore-wise, you're going back in time to raid a temple and kill the architects of the temple. And depending on what architect you kill, a different architect will take over and build a different room in that temple. And then after you've killed enough architects, you go and raid the temple in present day. So based on what you've done in the past, you can build a temple full of loot or monsters that give good experience or whatever you want to do, and then go through that whole temple. It seems like a really neat mechanic for a league. And they've done other like similar kind of smaller scale stuff. Like they'd have Breach League where you would like open up a hand and you'd have to kill a certain number of things as fast as you could, and then how good you did determined how many of whatever key you got for the big boss. But this one seems really neat because you can kind of go and directly influence the dungeon that you will be raiding. You can build it by hand by doing these timed missions. It's a really good concept for a league. And another thing is that they've always named their leagues after the top metal bands, and Incursion is no different.
Yeah.
Except for 1 or 2 leagues. The one league that they did not name after a metal band that is currently running is called Bestiary, and everybody hates it. I like it, but everybody hates it. So going back to the metal band feel, good plan. It's probably gonna make the league good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like you gotta have these little things. Who knows? Maybe it will be.
It's
Yeah.
like when you have to have Bobby Hill smell a beer to make sure your team wins at football. You know? You just gotta go with the metal band list.
Gotta have that groundhog, you know what I'm saying?
They're also doing a number of changes to skills. I won't go over all of them because probably many of them won't mean anything to people who don't play Path of Exile. But just in case you're interested, go ahead and listen. They are reworking Ignite and many Ignite-based skills again because Ignite was just kind of a shitty condition. It did some extra damage, and they nerfed it so hard that it was basically worthless. They're reworking it to keep the damage pretty low, but make more sources of increased damage from Ignite and stuff like that. In addition to reworking certain skills to give you basically extra bonuses, like some skills will give you 2 duplicates of a skill. It's a little too much to go into in just a news segment, but maybe when the league comes out, I'll go further into depth with it when I have actually played it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Also, Thel, Unreal Tournament came out 2 days before Quake 3.
All right.
Okay. Bitch.
Anyway. Literally 2 days, though. I looked it up. I was like, wow.
Wow.
So they clearly learned
okay,
simultaneously.
I'm sorry, I apologize. It was a Quake 1 ripoff.
Whatever. Actually, Quake 1 and 2 were
multiplayer.
very different games from Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament.
Well, you know what? Okay,
Multiplayer was not
we were
good.
trying to avoid this argument, but you know what? The most probably the one of the most inarguably influential first-person shooters of all time, which is Team Fortress 2, is just straight up a Quake ripoff. So whatever.
Oh yeah, that was it was a Quake 1 based off a Quake 1 mod.
Exactly.
Well, a Gold Source Engine mod, which was based off the the Quake thing. It was basically a Quake map.
Okay, Team Fortress 1 was a
Team Fortress 1, and then it
ripoff.
was a sequel to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, for the rest of the show, what time is it? Maybe we'll go for like 20 minutes or so, or however long it takes. We're going to talk about Avengers Infinity War, but for the people tuning out now, why don't we go over the things that's coming up this week?
Yes.
So, Thel, you just came out with a video.
2 new videos, in fact.
This last Monday, and then another one on Thursday, right?
I think the other one was on like Friday.
Oh, Friday.
Or something.
Well, it was Friday last week, though.
Oh wait, no, it came out on Thursday. I meant to release it on Friday, but yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, last week I came out with 2 new videos: Euro Truck Simulator video and a video on Midair.
Okay, now I want to say real quick, Sane and I often are not, more often than not, maybe occasionally, we are more often than not creative consultants on Thel's videos. He kind of makes those mostly on his own. So I can say without a doubt that this Euro Truck Simulator video is probably one of the funniest videos that Thel has released to date.
Yeah, I actually thought it was really fucking funny. I knew that it wasn't gonna do as well as our Hollow Knight stuff, but man.
Yeah, but you gotta put those out
Euro Truck Simulator, even if you're not interested in the game, it's just very funny. Let's just take a minute to stroke Thel's ego.
It sounded like you were about to say, let's just take a moment of silence for all the jokes that were lost in that video, never to be used again. Rest in peace.
Yeah, like top-notch work, though. Good job. Keep making me money.
No problem. We haven't made any technically money yet. We need to make $100, and we don't have that.
Oh, I should actually check. We might. Well, we probably have not hit $100 yet. Well,
yeah, but
we're getting closer. Yeah. What do you have coming up streaming this week?
Coming up streaming-wise, I'm probably going to be playing more of The Forest. I've actually made like legitimate progress in it instead of just building a base that I'll probably never go back to. So I'm really excited to play more of that. I've pretty much dropped Ni no Kuni. Sorry if you guys were interested in that, because sometimes I move on to other games and that happens. And then tune in fucking June 1st. Like, June 1st is a Friday. That's a stream day for me. I ain't gonna be doing shit but playing Path of Exile for probably the month of June. So if you actually want to see what Incursion League is like, you can see that starting on June 1st. Other than that, I don't have a solid plan.
So for me, as you might be able to tell from my background, I'm moving right now. So
yeah, where'd all of your cool shit go, Sane? Your cat, you made your cat disappear.
yeah,
He
my
ain't
cat
there.
was sitting there for most of the show. Anyway, so yeah, I'm moving right now. So I don't know that I'm going to be on streams or whatever this coming week. In fact, I know that I'm going to miss the Thursday stream this week.
It is quite possible we may not have a podcast coming out in the next couple of
we should have a podcast next week. I don't think that.
Okay.
I don't think I'll miss next week's podcast.
Next week I'll probably be there because I have probably like here's the thing. My next video, like usually I release the videos on like a 2-week thing, and I would release it on Friday of like the week after next, or is it the week after? It's the Friday of next week. But I'm gonna be out of town, so I probably don't have anything for that too.
Well, my internet's gonna be out until Friday, but by Monday I should have something set up. But who knows what my background will look like? At least there won't be an awful window in the background anymore. But but yeah. So after that, I do plan on starting to stream, maybe semi full time, coming up soon. Probably not the next couple. Probably at, I don't know, either late May or early June. I'm gonna start streaming pretty regularly, but I'll give more information later when that comes up. So that is all of the announcements we want to make, and so for the rest of the time, we're going to talk about Avengers: Infinity War. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, tune out now.
We are definitely going to be going into spoilers. Like I cannot stress that enough. This movie is practically impossible to talk about without giving spoilers to something. So this is your warning. You have nobody to blame but yourself if Infinity War is spoiled by us.
It has been out for like a month now or something.
It has been out for a couple weeks, so many people have probably seen it.
But just in case.
Just in case.
All right. So who wants to start? What, like, first of all, how much did you guys like it?
I enjoyed it a lot. I really like to watch it. But I feel like oftentimes when I go to see a movie in theaters, my opinion is colored because I don't see many movies in theaters. So going to the theater as an experience always just kind of makes me enjoy a movie more than I probably would otherwise. So you have to take my opinion on it with a grain of salt. I thought a lot of the action scenes were very well choreographed. I thought that like not getting into too many specifics, I thought that every fucking scene with Thor in it was just awesome. Just all
yeah,
of
but
the
that's
shit
basically
that
your
he
favorite
did.
character.
But yeah, Thor is also probably my favorite Marvel character, period. There's just a lot of cool shit. I really liked again, I can get more into it later, but I really liked that they so Thor kind of has lost his hammer, Mjolnir, in the last couple of movies.
It was in Thor Ragnarok.
It was specifically in Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yeah.
That was the movie that was directly before this one. So
he lost Mjolnir, and it was like, oh shit, how's he gonna get Mjolnir back? And that's what I was thinking the whole movie, like, how is he gonna get Mjolnir back? But instead, they gave him Stormbreaker.
Gave him,
yeah. Instead, Peter Dinklage, famous for Tyrion Lannister and others, gave him Mjolnir.
And that voice they replaced in Destiny.
Stormbreaker. Yeah. They gave him Stormbreaker, which I thought was a really neat nod. And Infinity War had kind of quite a few neat nods. I thought it was a really neat nod to I believe it's the current story arc with Thor where he's just become unworthy to wield Mjolnir, and so instead he uses Stormbreaker.
No, Stormbreaker is Beta Ray Bill's hammer.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's even cooler then.
Yeah.
But I could have sworn that like when they made Girl Thor or whatever.
No, she uses Mjolnir, and he uses Lorfleer, the axe.
Okay.
So he uses a different weapon entirely.
An axe, but okay, yeah. I saw Stormbreaker as an axe, and I didn't remember what he was using in the Thor girl plot line. So that's what I kind of assumed. But if Stormbreaker
they split into two different comics: the Mighty Thor and the Unworthy Odin's Son. So he's not even called Thor in that one. He's called Odin's son.
I see.
And he uses an axe. But Beta Ray Bill is actually the one who has always wielded Stormbreaker.
That's even cooler, actually. Like having a nod to Beta Ray Bill. In fact, I believe in Thor Ragnarok, Thel pointed out multiple times while we were watching it that Beta Ray Bill was one of the statues.
Yeah, he was straight up
the...
carved into the fucking wall, and it was great.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad because it feels like that's just even more and more confirming that Beta Ray Bill will never show up. But
yeah, kind of.
But at the same time, like, Beta Ray Bill is kind of a really weird character.
It's true.
And his name
if
is
you don't
Beta
know
Ray
anything
Bill,
about comic books, Beta Ray Bill is a character that, like, I Thor, like basic plot line. Thor, like fell through space onto a spaceship, and he was, I believe Beta Ray Bill was in cryo freeze or something. And the security system woke him up, and he was like, "Oh shit, we're being attacked." And he started to fight Thor, and Thor threw his hammer, and Beta Ray Bill caught it and beat the shit out of Thor with Mjolnir. And Thor was like, "What the fuck?"
And at this time in comic books, literally no one had ever held Thor's hammer yet.
Beta Ray Bill was some alien who was the only character at the time in comic book history to ever be able to wield Mjolnir other than Thor.
Yeah.
So
he was kind of a really cool character. He was basically he was just alien Thor, kind of.
Yeah, it was a really big thing. In fact, like, I'm pretty sure that some of the Thor comics had alternate art where it was just Beta Ray Bill in Thor's costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, but
yeah, Thor having Stormbreaker, if that's Beta Ray Bill's weapon, then that just kind of like lends more credence to there's no Beta Ray Bill in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
One of my favorite parts, and it's kind of funny because it seems to be almost a reoccurring joke at this point, is when Peter Parker or Spider-Man caught this dude's punch, one of the enemy's punches. And he's just with one hand, he just caught this punch. I just really find it hilarious that they're really emphasizing his super strength.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of
just,
like
they played it off as a joke like twice in a row, and it's just really funny. I don't know.
Yeah, I really like that they're like, they don't ever really call attention to this fact, but Spider-Man, like, despite what the movies may have shown, some of the Spider-Man movies may have shown you, Spider-Man does not have spider powers. Nothing in his power set is even remotely related to a spider. He has, like, a sixth sense. He has super strength. He can stick to walls not through, like, spider sticking, but through,
static
like,
electricity.
magnetism and static electricity. That's right. So like, Spider-Man doesn't really have any spider-based powers. He just themed himself like a spider.
No, that actually brings me to a very strange point that I want to bring up.
Okay.
What if we switched Spider-Man and Batman? Like, Batman was called Spider-Man, and he uses fear to intimidate his enemies because he's like a spider in the night. And Spider-Man was like Batman, and instead of having spider sense, he has echolocation and can cling to walls like a bat.
I don't know.
Like, yeah, you could just...
I still think that even as far as that goes, Spider-Man is more relevant to a spider than Batman would be.
Yeah.
And like, he also has some other things that are like do actually kind of.
Batman can use his grappling hook, and it could be like a spider web.
No, but there are other things like Spider-Man, for instance, has perfect equilibrium, which means he always feels as if what is under his feet is down.
Mm-hmm.
So he is always
balance.
He's always
bad credit card.
He always has perfect balance no matter what position he's in ever.
Yeah, bats hang upside down from the ceiling.
Yeah,
that's not the same thing. Come on.
I know, well, I mean, let's be honest. It's not, I mean, spiders are fucking.
It is a quite funny concept, though.
Yeah.
You have to admit. But yeah, like I never really liked Spider-Man much, aside from the video games before I met Sane, but Sane likes Spider-Man so much that he's infected me with it. And like, so all of the shit that I learn about Spider-Man directly from Sane just makes me think he's just super fucking cool.
He's one of my favorite superheroes easily. And a lot of it was because I grew up watching the 90s cartoon, so and there's just certain like really cool things about him too, like there was a thing where they were talking about how Reed Richards from Fantastic Four basically recognized that he had the same level as intellect as Reed Richards did at the time that he was Peter Parker's age. So potentially when Peter Parker becomes the same age as like Tony Stark and Mr. Fantastic, he would be on the same level the same level on an intellect basis they would be. So it's kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just love that they really emphasize how intelligent he is, in addition to just how
that's one of the things. He's already practically a super scientist. Like he create like those webs that he shoots are an alloy that he created, like a semi-liquid.
They're a chemical.
A chemical, right? Okay. Like a semi-liquid chemical that emulates spider silk. So like he created that himself in like a college campus fucking lab or something.
Actually, high school.
High school, okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
what did you think, though? What were some of your favorite parts?
I really liked Thanos. I thought he was good. He's one of my favorite Marvel villains. I gotta say, like, out of everything that I feel like this movie was, Thanos was the best part of it.
I don't disagree.
I think Thanos was a really compelling villain.
The funny thing about Thanos to me in this film is Thanos is his he has more of a reason for what he's doing in the movies.
Which is kind of funny. Anybody else.
Because no, I mean compared to the comics, Thanos
Thanos
straight up just wants
he wanted to screw Deadpool's girlfriend, and
he wanted to impress Mistress Death.
Yeah.
So it's
whereas
kind of like...
in this one, so we're getting into full on spoiler territory.
Oh yeah,
but Thanos intends to use the Infinity Gauntlet to wipe out...
you don't have to explain it to people; they've seen it if they're watching this far. But yeah, his motivation. Honestly, I felt like what I heard about his motivation before the movie came out, and I was like, oh no, oh fuck, they're gonna pull a goddamn Mass Effect 3 on us. No, they did pretty good with it. That felt good. Felt like he had he felt sort of like he felt like he was justified. You know, it was they did a good job of it. I felt like out of all the things they could have done,
I thought he was easily the most compelling villain of all the Marvel villains so far. Except for maybe Black Panther.
Don't have to be vague,
I
and I don't want to be vague. So I want to explain what I was going to say, that his intentions, we know, are to wipe out half of the entire universe, half the population of the whole universe, and it's because he believes that life can't sustain itself because there are finite resources. So yeah, if he just wipes out half the universe, then it'll be good for a while, right? And the reasoning behind this isn't just that he thinks that because he's some crazy person. It's because he came from a planet that this exact situation arose. He suggested this and everybody thought he was a crazy person, and then it turned out he was right. So
you know what the
on a smaller scale, this exact situation happened to him. So his intentions, regardless of how horrible it is to kill literally half of the universe, his intentions are actually good from his point of view. And that's what I really think makes him a compelling character.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Actually,
the subtext of the story, yes, like I said. Yeah, go on.
One of the funny things about Thanos. Oh god, I lost my train of thought. Shit.
I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't that. But yeah, I don't know. I thought Thanos was a really good character. Much better than in the comics, because I was a little worried.
This is like Marvel's fucking. I don't want to say Endgame because it's not. It's like the thing that they have been quote unquote building since the Avengers. You know, he's popped up in a couple other movies.
Since when? Since Thor. I think Thor 1.
No, he first popped up in Avengers. Thor 1.
I think
but what I was saying was they started alluding to it even back then because of the Tesseract.
The Tesseract.
And I think the Tesseract first appeared in Thor.
First appeared in Captain America's 1.
Really?
I thought they teased it in Thor.
Well, basically they've
I
been
don't
building up
remember
to
either way.
Thanos.
Basically,
that
yeah.
that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
They've been building up to Thanos essentially since they introduced the concept of the Infinity Stones, and
Right.
Red Skull would have been the first.
Yeah.
Red Skull would have been the first character.
Yeah,
to
that was the
introduce
first
concept of
movie
the
where it was a
Infinities.
plot device.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
either way.
And yeah, and because like Thor was like right before Captain America 1, they probably like maybe did it was like an after credits scene where they showed off the.
Well,
Cosmic Cube.
weren't they using the cosmic cube to power stuff at Shield or something?
Yeah, you know what?
Thor?
No, that I'm pretty sure that sounds right. It's been a while since I've seen Thor, but I think that
I don't actually remember which one was first.
I
though,
don't
so.
think that they did. What it was in Thor was you might be thinking of like that robot thing that came to town.
No. It was something Shield was doing.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
remember. Well, Thor had lost his hammer, and so Shield had set up basically a research facility around Mjolnir to research
Yeah.
it, and then they started like learning about Asgardian technology, and I'm pretty sure they had something. I don't remember. I don't think it was anything with an Infinity Stone though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And it was specifically the Cosmic Cube. I think I know what you're talking about, and maybe it was in like the relic room in Odin's thing. I've seen Thor an unfortunate amount of times.
The first Thor wasn't bad. I mean, it's kind of funny if you think about it in retrospect, because compared to
Yeah.
a lot of the other ones, it doesn't hold up as well, and the second
Yeah.
one certainly was not that good.
Yeah.
But I think the first Thor actually was a pretty good movie.
Which one was the second Thor movie?
The Dark
Dark
World?
Elves.
It was the one where the professor guy was crazy and the dark elf happened and they went to the Dark World.
okay.
Was there again.
Flashgen says that Shield did some research with the Tesseract in the after Thor 1, so I assume he's referring to the after credit sequence and in the beginning of the Avengers.
Yeah.
So the Tesseract was referred to in the like towards the end of Thor 1.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I think it was like the professor. I remember in the end of Captain America, there was a teaser where it's like the professor is contacted by Loki and is like, "Hey,
I mean,
I found that thing that Red Skull had."
I guess
You wanna
really none of this super matters because the point is just that they have been building up to it since like the third or fourth movie in the whole series.
Yeah, since like the beginning of
Since like
the
even
cinema
before the
series.
Avengers specifically.
So, I very much. So I thought that this movie was very risky in a sense because, and not financially, but in terms of like story wise, because they could have really beefed it. They could have really like mishandled it.
They could have really screwed it up by building up to it over the course of 10 years or something.
And having Thanos just be trash. But Thanos is great. He's the best part of the movie. Straight up. I will say that. I'm really mad on this movie. One of the things that I did want to actually talk about. I sort of like when all of the characters died, I felt nothing.
Do you mean died or disintegrated?
Disintegrated.
Yeah.
I felt sort of nothing because I was like, well, we got Spider-Man 2 in the works. We got Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in the works. I don't care.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of knew that, and
But,
I felt
some of the characters' contracts, some of the actors' contracts are coming up. They might actually be able to make a legitimately bold move in the
but
next.
surprisingly, a lot of the like this was like contract wise, this was Chris Evans, Captain America, Chris Evans' last movie contract wise. So
no, I think
so.
Avengers 2 is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Infinity War 2 is his last one.
Okay, yeah, I think this was like his second to last. It was like
Yeah.
we're really closing in on the end of his contract, and he's notably one of the characters that survived. And I say notably because all of the original Avengers did not
Rocket
disintegrate.
Raccoon.
And Rocket Raccoon. All of the original
was there too.
Avengers and Rocket Raccoon, who was there too.
Yeah.
There were a handful of other characters too, right?
But
Just
that's something of note. Like
odds and
Thel
ends.
said, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is confirmed. It's in production. But all of the
Spider-Man is confirmed in production.
Sure, but that like with Spider-Man, you could do something different, like a prequel or something. But Guardians of the Galaxy, like
Spider-Man,
or a new Spider-Man, but Guardians of the Galaxy, I suppose you could do the same thing. But like 5 of their 6 members just straight up, one of them died on screen, dead. The other ones disintegrated, which is honestly more arguable that they could come back. Because, okay, so one of the things that people point to with this movie a lot after having seen it is, oh, Marvel put out a tweet that said all of the characters that die in Infinity War stay dead. And I'm like, I don't believe that for a second. That
No,
the 50%
no, they didn't say
universe,
they stay dead. They say they actually died.
They actually
That there's
died.
a difference in the exact phrasing.
Wow, I died. I'm back now, though.
You see, what I believe, what I believe, like people say, well, the intention behind that is that they want to preserve the artistic integrity, and if when somebody dies, they want them to stay dead instead of
Disney
like
bitch.
comic books where they come back. And it's like I don't know. I don't believe that. I think what's probable that they are referring to is this is just my opinion. What they're referring to when they say that is that they like Loki, he fucking died. Thanos cleaved him in half or whatever.
Yeah, Loki actually died.
Don't believe that Loki will come back. He suffered a death. Whereas,
I think he could, but
yeah, he could.
I mean, I wouldn't.
Especially Loki, he could come back.
They
but
could
like,
they could go either way on that.
but like, there are two characters on screen when Loki is
I think
dying,
Heimdall's
let's say.
dead. I have think Heimdall's gone.
Yeah.
Especially because Thor has Stormbreaker and he can summon the Bifrost.
Yeah.
Which is
like
something the actual one does, but yeah.
Sure. But like as far as the movie's concerned, Thor
Yeah.
can summon the Bifrost now, so they don't really need Heimdall as a device to summon the Bifrost.
Yeah.
But like Loki could come back, but they make a very good point of saying Loki's fucking dead. Thanos is like, no tricks this time, trickster. And then after like Thor is mourning and he says, I think this is the real you.
No,
and
see, this is
I
the
think you're
opposite.
actually
I
dead
had the
this time."
opposite reaction to that same scene though.
Yeah.
Because he was like, yeah, he's dead, but it's happened before. I think it might stick this time. But it was so uncertain that I feel like it really could go either way.
It could go either way, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
And I'm not personally, I'm not someone who cares about that. I think in comics, you can justify it any way you want. I think it's easier to justify it in comic book superhero movies than the way it's justified in a lot of other bullshit shows that I've seen. So.
I think honestly, it's a lot easier to justify an Asgardian coming back to life specifically.
Right.
Because they have like their realms. Like when they die, they don't fucking die. They just go to like Helheim or something, right? But so like it's especially easy to justify, like among Asgardians, it's especially easy to justify Loki the trickster coming back to life.
Right.
But I don't know if they will. I feel like they like the intention, like I feel like it was kind of uncertain, but the way that I read it was the intention behind that scene with both Thanos saying you're not tricking your way out of death, and Thor saying I think it's gonna stick this time. Like I think the intention when writing that scene was that they intended for Loki to stay dead.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if anything, I think I just got the opposite read. Is if anything, they opened it wider. I feel like of everyone who might actually die in the next one, he's probably one of the most likely characters, period, to come back. Whereas I think, and this is what I really thought of Infinity War as a whole, it felt like half a movie to me. Most people were saying that maybe, or I guess the directors and stuff were saying about their own movie that they planned for it to feel like one self-contained story, even though it has like ramifications that move forward. But I totally don't agree with that. I think that it feels like half a movie. It feels it feels like in the story, the common story arc where the heroes have failed and now they have to regroup. But that's where they're at. It's half a story. So we the three of us already discussed this privately, but I want to bring up the same point that I made before. Like you're talking about that story arc, right? Like a person builds up their group, comes together, they suffer a minor defeat, and then they go on to suffer to like either or suffer a little more, and then eventually they succeed, right?
Yeah.
If you flip the story arc on its head, and like clearly like Thanos was not the protagonist of the movie, but if you consider it from his point of view, from Thanos's point of view, it does follow that story structure for Thanos. He's building up his team, which would be the Infinity Stones, and then throughout the movie he suffers minor defeats, like he's being beaten, getting the shit beat out of him by like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and
also
Iron Man,
all of his like lieutenants fucking die.
Like everybody dies. He goes through emotional trauma, having to kill Gamora, which is another really humanizing moment for him. Like he, like because the Soul Stone can peer into your soul or whatever. Like if he didn't actually feel regret for killing Gamora, he would not have received the Soul Stone. Like he was actually in despair from having to do that.
Right. I don't know. Like I know that you've. Do you have more to say?
Yeah. I just like it. No, pretty much that was it. Like it follows that story structure. He's building his team of the Infinity Stones, and then eventually he succeeds at the end.
Right. I feel like I feel I get what you're saying, but I feel like that's kind of a stretch. I feel like that's trying too hard to make it work. Whereas I really feel like he was doing villain things in the background the same way that villains do villain things in the background of every like superhero movie. I don't think that he was really he wasn't in the first third of the movie sort of as well, other than the first scene on the ship. So I feel like it's really hard for me to look at it from his perspective because so much of it was everyone else's perspective and he was doing his own thing too. So
I'm not really saying like that's how you should look at the movie to make it fit into its own story. I'm just saying that like when you are talking about that like normal story structure, it's kind of an interesting way to look at it because if the movie had primarily followed Thanos, then that would have been how the story structure evolved. It wasn't, because Thanos was the antagonist and all of the heroes were the protagonists, but it would have been pretty like it's just an interesting thing to think about, you know.
So for me, my kind of final thoughts on it too was that I'm probably not as meh on it as Thel might be, but I definitely do feel kind of my enthusiasm has muted on it because, like I said, it feels like half a movie, so I don't feel like I got the conclusion of the movie yet. It feels like I watched it and I still need to wait for the other half to come out next year. So like I don't really have super strong feelings about it in general yet. And I feel like when the next one comes out, I kind of want to watch them back to back because I feel like that's sort of how they should be watched. I haven't seen the second half of it yet, but from the first half, it feels like that's how it would have to work for me. And after the high of coming out of Black Panther and really enjoying that film, while this film does succeed in a lot of ways on its own, I think that when you compare the two, like Black Panther was just a better story. So. And is that kind of similar to how you feel, though?
Yeah, that definitely compared to Black Panther, because I watched Black Panther again before watching that movie. I was like, wow, you know, Black Panther sure does feel like a very much it's just like its own thing. And I was also comparing it a lot to Logan, because
that's not even fair. Logan is probably like the best superhero movie, period.
I think, well,
and this has the most money behind it.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think that Logan is a weird outlier in that it is barely a superhero movie.
Yeah, so it uses superhero characters.
Yeah, so it's really hard for me to directly compare those.
The deaths in that, specifically, because all of these characters died, and it was the deaths in that, I fucking felt that.
Yeah, but I feel really bad. I don't think it's really fair to compare the finality to some of the stuff that happens in Logan. Any of the finality that might happen in the first half of Infinity War. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, and one of the
I don't really knock it against it for that anyway.
Yeah, another thing that Infinity War 2 might be able to go really good is if they sort of delve really deep into how the death of half of the universe and half of these characters affects the people who are still there, if they get really psychological with it. Which, I mean, I'm not expecting them to go as far as I want them to, because it's a superhero movie, we gotta fight stuff.
Well,
but
pretty. I mean, yeah, they're gonna fight stuff. Like we know that. There's no way.
Yeah,
But
I mean, like it's
it's
not
something
gonna...
that wouldn't be unimaginable for it to happen. Because
Yeah.
I think Sane brought this up earlier, not on the podcast, but a couple days ago. Is one of the things that they can really delve into is the Soul Stones kind of world.
Yeah.
And in the comics, I believe that's like the crux of the solution to everybody having died.
Yeah.
Is the world inside the Soul
That's a major
Stone.
component.
And so and the Soul Stone is the only Infinity Stone that even has like a requirement of owning it. So it's probably like as far as like psychologically goes, it's probably like the...
Actually, that is something that was added in the movie. That's not intrinsically, but
well,
Soul
sure,
World
but
exists.
But if we're talking
books,
about if we are talking about the movie, within the movie, that is something that they it's the only stone that had any requirement to owning it, and it had a pretty heavy psychological requirement to owning it. So
yeah,
you know, like it is something that they might delve into. It's not unimaginable.
The thing is, I think that this movie, the team up movie, will never be on the same. It'll never be the same kind of movie as something like Logan. So I don't think it's fair to really look at the two.
Well, yeah, I think Dalsson, you completely misunderstood what I meant.
And so I think
by
that
delving into the psychological aspects of half of the people in all of the Avengers dying.
So
I'm thinking about like Iron Man.
I understand.
I
understood.
Violent 10-minute scene of him drinking, trying to get over the fact that he watched Spider-Man die.
I think they might they might have done that had they had the time, but they have too many characters to look at. But so I think that like this kind of big team up movie, that there would never be able to do something like that, and it would just diminish the weight of any of that. So I think that like we might get other movies on the same caliber as Logan for other characters in the future. I don't think that's beyond I think that's possible. I just don't think that
things such as Legion that is airing now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Legion is another thing that's kind of off to. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like main cinematic movie Marvel. Yeah. I think that sort of thing is possible to like have a movie like that, but it'll never happen in this big team up movie because
well,
there's just not enough time.
I don't think it's ever gonna happen at Disney. I don't think Disney's gonna allow anything like that to happen.
I mean, I think Disney allowing anything, that's a silly way to look at it. Like, I think Marvel was pretty autonomous when it comes to this stuff. They are just as controlling in some ways as Disney in terms of what they want to do with films. But I don't think that means that something more psychological and introspective is impossible to happen. Because I think that Marvel has had a good track record of taking other genres and mixing superheroes with it. So I think that you can have something like that in the future. Yeah.
I think that you may have misunderstood kind of what I was saying. I wasn't saying that like delving into the soul world itself would be the introspective part of it. I'm saying that in this movie they did a very, very kind of light and like Sane was saying, probably because of time constraints too. They did a very kind of light version of that, of Thanos having like on screen having to make this choice between killing his daughter and achieving his goals. It was like you said, really, or like I said, really, really light version of what you may have been talking about, but it's not something that they are afraid of doing necessarily. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose.
That like I was pointing to the Soul Stone as an example of like a very light version of that.
Okay.
What would you say your favorite Marvel movie is at this point, Thel?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
Like, what are your top three?
I really don't. I'd probably put the
in
first
no
Iron Man
particular
in
order.
I put the first Iron Man in there.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. Hold on, let me like look up like a list of Marvel.
My number one. I'll start with mine to make it a bit easier.
Okay, yeah.
My first one is Winter Soldier. I think that's easily like my favorite Marvel movie so far.
Winter Soldier was pretty good.
Like, I think it did a really good job of being like a spy thriller.
Yeah.
My second one would be Black Panther.
Okay.
It was really good, and considering it's a character that traditionally I don't like. I typically don't like his characterization in other media, but this was the first time had a really charismatic, interesting, and like, I don't know, what's that word I'm looking for? Relatable version of Black Panther.
A lot of what he did, I didn't see Black Panther, but a lot of what he did, everything that I've seen of him, he he needs that charisma. He needs that relatable side because they kind of cover a lot of his relationships with Wakanda, like him being a political leader, and I don't think they often do that with T'Challa in comic books.
Yeah, and that's
They
like
just make him a super.
Actually, that's not true. There a lot of Black Panther comic books are about the politic aspects of it. Especially in the more recent ones. But that being said, like, I don't like, he doesn't seem as charismatic and approachable. Like, Chadwick Boseman feels like a very approachable person.
They definitely picked a really good actor.
So I think they picked like the best possible actor they could have to make Black Panther work.
He was really good
on screen. And then
he's probably getting tired of doing this. But...
yeah, I was just seeing posts about that. And then my third, so I'm gonna go with 4 because I can't really decide on a third, but I really liked Civil War and I really liked Ant-Man. So those are like my favorites.
Now, see, like
my
half
favorite
of the
3
ones
would
that
probably
you
have
said
to be
I
Iron Man
didn't
2,
see.
Thor: The Dark World, and Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Actually, Doctor Strange was not a bad one. That one was really interesting to look at, even if it was just kind of like a slightly different, like Iron Man.
I remember. Okay, but for real, like top 3, I probably have to go with like Iron Man, Guardians 2, and shit.
I always forget Guardians of the Galaxy.
Like, yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I always forget Guardians
and
of the Galaxy.
And probably Winter Soldier. Yeah.
It's so far removed from Avengers.
Yeah, that's why I really like
it. Actually, yeah. Now that you mention it, I would probably put Guardians 1 as my third.
Yeah.
Because I actually liked Guardians 1 more than 2, but at the same time, I could see why you would like 2 more. It's just I liked 1 more.
I think probably my favorite 3 are in no particular order. I can't order them, but Guardians 2. I like, now that Thel mentions it, like I'm thinking of that whole movie. I'm like, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was the good shit. And then Thor Ragnarok, which is just because
that was a really good
one of my favorite arcs in comic books is Planet Hulk, and one of my favorite superheroes is Thor, and that just mushed them together. So, and then I can't really decide on a third one, so I just probably have to default to Iron Man 1 because it kicked off.
I thought it was really good.
It's
not my favorite. It holds up, and it's really good, but I think that they've done so much more interesting things with some of the other ones. That's why it's not my favorite. But
fair enough.
I totally understand why someone would pick that. But
now that said, Civil War is a pretty good standout. Like that was like I thought Civil War was pretty good. Like yeah, everybody makes fun of that scene where there's like 10 superheroes on the screen and they run at each other.
But that fight was fun. That was like one of the that was a really cool fight though.
It was definitely fun to watch. Like one of the things that I don't know if...
Actually, that's not even what... Like, I had totally even forgotten about that fight now that you mention it. Because I was thinking more about, like, some of the stuff that happens between Captain America and Tony Stark at the end. But
yeah, well, people make fun of that scene a lot because it's like, this is Civil War. Every single superhero is involved in a fight for what they believe in. And then it's like 10 superheroes run at each other on an airport. And so everybody makes fun of that scene because of it. But... Like one of the things that I don't know, now no offense, Thel, so
all right, go ahead.
Just back up here, Thel. I don't like one of the things that I don't feel like you give enough credit to, or at least I don't hear you give enough credit to, is choreography in action scenes. Like oftentimes when you talk about action scenes, you're like, oh, they're punching each other, but the way that the way that the characters move and stuff like that really builds a scene, and sometimes they can be shitty, like in the Star Wars prequels where they just like whiz their lightsabers around just for the sake of looking cool, and then other times they can be like Sane mentioned, that the fight scene, the actual fight part itself in Civil War, like they had a lot of dynamic action where they moved through different sequences and stuff. They moved through different areas.
And actually,
I think that
my favorite fight scene
that
out
could
of
just be
all
really
of Marvel
entertaining to
stuff,
watch.
my favorite fight scene out of all of the Marvel stuff, because I think of like you were saying how tightly choreographed it was actually the fight scene in Civil War at the end.
Oh yeah,
with
yeah.
Bucky,
That one was really good.
with Bucky, Captain
I
America,
really
and
like
Iron
that
Man.
one.
That is such a
Yeah.
fucking tense fight. And how they're like tossing the shield to each other as they smack the crap out of Iron Man. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a good scene. I don't know.
Yeah,
And that's why I really love Civil War. But
characters like Bucky and Captain America, like you can easily do that kind of choreography too, because like it's not
It
like
makes
totally
sense.
unbelievable. It's like they're both super soldiers, and
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
and
like,
the thing I
they
really
have
liked
them-
about that scene was it
that
felt
stuff.
very weighty.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the cool things. Like some of my favorite fight scenes in any media, right, is when like, okay, this may be the quintessential example. Take Indiana Jones, right?
Right.
That dude comes out
Oh,
with
yeah.
his fucking scimitar and just waves it around, whoosh whoosh whoosh, does all these cool tricky things like I'm gonna fuck you up, bitch, and Harrison Ford just takes out his gun and shoots him. Like I really like anticlimactic fight scenes, and that is still a style of choreography, but it like when there's like power clashes in anime, or just when like people are like very clearly even, like you can get a feel for how
I like it when it's
I
played
don't know
off
how
as
to
a
find the
joke.
words.
I like it when
Yeah.
it's played off as a joke sometimes, but it like certain fight scenes call for certain things. Like the nice thing about that fight in Civil War was that ending fight between Bucky, Captain America, and Iron Man. It was very climactic, and the fight mattered, right?
Right.
So it was firing on all engines. Like the choreography was good. The like tone was really good. The like story wise, the reason why they were there and fighting in the first place was really good. So it like came together, and it was like a really well climaxed fight. But I also agree that like there are moments where it's almost better to just make a fight anticlimactic. Like a good example is in Infinity War when Hulk just gets wrecked by Thanos. Like that was such a kind of a cool scene because he just demolishes him.
Yeah, and Hulk is like basically fucking invincible.
Right.
Like and so I guess that's kind of what I was getting at. I tend to talk too much when I say these things, but like I couldn't put it into words, so I had to stall. I think what I was getting at is like action scenes, fight choreography can still be used to convey things like the power of characters, their feelings, you know, stuff like that. It can be used to convey tensions. It can be used to convey the same things that those 10-minute long scenes of a dude sitting there eating a pie can be used to convey. And I don't know if you necessarily don't give enough credit to those, but I don't hear you talk about it very often. So it's just something I want to point out.
Right. Problem is, like with a lot of fight scenes, I mean, that one's almost an outlier. With a lot of fight scenes, it's just like the heroes and the villains fight each other.
Well,
like Civil War is definitely an outlier,
yeah.
and it had like a really, really good one.
I agree with you.
They have to beat up the Ultron robots.
I agree with you, but I do think
agree.
that there is like I agree with you that one in particular is an outlier because it was firing on all levels. But I do think you do like it. I think that the choreography of fight scenes is really important. The staging of action is very important.
Oh yeah,
especially in an action movie.
Like in Wind River, there's like just this one really, really good scene. It's an incredible action
but
scene,
what I'm saying though is like that is kind of exactly what I mean though. Like that is another scene that is about tension, and that's not exactly what we're getting at. We're getting at that a lot of times fight scenes need to be kinetic, and the way that they're kinetic and like fluid and how they move is really important, and it's really impressive some of the fight scenes how they make those fight scenes work. And that's
I'm not
always the
saying-
case in movies.
I'm not saying that all fight scenes have this weight to them. Like, yeah, sometimes
Right.
the heroes just beat the shit out of each other. And
Sometimes
it's not,
it is just like fighting, and it isn't that.
and it's just like kind of like,
amazing,
okay,
but-
well, we want to put some action in here, so let's just have them fight.
Here's
But-
another good example. This is actually probably a better example.
Okay.
There was a little bit of tension, but like the fight scene in Winter Soldier where Captain America goes into the elevator and he can tell that all these people are about to fight him.
Oh yeah.
That's a good example of like that fight really didn't matter that much in the scheme of
Mhm.
things, but the way that the action flowed and the way that people moved was a very well choreographed and very interesting looking fight. So
Yeah.
whether or not it really mattered to the overall plot doesn't matter, but it helps being an action movie. So
right. And
and I think
actually,
that's
that one sort of did matter to the plot because that just sort of told Captain America that there were like he couldn't trust anyone, and specifically the person that he worked on the previous job with was trying to kill him.
no, I don't even
Right.
think that mattered.
Yeah, but
because
that was
he already knew before he walked in the elevator.
that was maybe the
Yeah.
idea behind the fight, but like that was the idea of what to show the audience, right, behind the fight. But the what at least I'm talking about very specifically is just the choreography specifically, not
And
not
yeah,
the
there were a lot of talented choreographers in Hollywood.
Yeah, but I think that that's worth
there's
praise,
talented
though.
concept artists too.
No, but
Sometimes
what all we're saying is I think that's worth praise in an action movie, and I just Dalsson was saying that you don't seem to give enough credit to that.
Right.
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, and would that be a fair assessment?
I mean, I suppose it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, it makes up part of an action
Yeah,
movie.
you
but I
don't
suppose it's
talk
like,
about it as much.
Yeah.
Like you don't necessarily not think about it. You just it's not one of the things that you focus on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh.
is there any closing thoughts on Infinity War before we head out?
I
We're
did
starting
have
to be a
one.
longer episode now.
I did have one possibly brief thing. Thel, on the last couple of our podcasts, he talked about this like how it could have been an interesting theming.
Oh yeah. I
Um,
completely forgot
And
about
and,
that.
and we talked about this. So Thel was
Hold
saying
on,
that
let
there
me
was
explain
a
this.
question. Yeah. Explain
Okay,
it like
so
not considering
because
no
I can use spoilers now. There is a point in time, and this is used multiple times throughout the movie, like to a point where I was actually it happened like the second or
And
third
now
time.
now
Like,
you've
oh,
already
okay,
conceded
alright,
this
come on
point to
now.
me, but just
It
explain
was
some-
like every 3 seconds someone said, "You're going to need to kill me, or else Thanos is going to get to me for one reason or another." And to me, like, because one of the things that I was thinking, like, this could have been really interesting theming because Thanos also has to do that. He has to sacrifice Gamora, like we talked about.
Mhm.
What I was thinking is that if Thanos was the only one who wasn't like, "No, I'm not going to kill you. That's against my convictions," then that would have been really interesting.
or if
theming,
or if Thanos would have gone that far
Yeah.
for his convictions, but the
Yeah.
heroes wouldn't have.
Yeah. But Peter Quill was willing to kill Gamora, and Scarlet Witch was willing to kill Vision.
And now-
and Dalsson, go ahead.
Now what I brought up is that I think that theming did actually work fairly well because the entire time like there's you have that scene where Gamora is begging Peter Quill to kill her if Thanos
Yeah.
gets a hold of her, and he's like, no, and she's like, shut up, do it, and he's like, okay, and then later on he has to do it.
Right.
And obviously he doesn't succeed because of the reality stone.
Yeah,
but-
because
but he has to do it, and he's sitting there like shaking, like his whole body is shaking. He cannot pull the trigger, and Thanos is like saying, "Do it, fucking do it!" And he's like pushed to the very, very, very edge, and he finally closes his eyes and looks away and pulls the trigger. It's the same thing with Scarlet Witch. She waits until the very last second, like Thanos is breathing down her neck, like literally charging towards her before she starts to kill Vision to keep Thanos from succeeding.
I think she was trying to
think
kill him for a long time, actually.
Yeah.
But
well,
it wasn't like
but
she waited to the last second. She had been doing it for like 10 minutes.
Sure, not the last second, but Thanos was there, and he was gonna get the Mind Stone if she didn't do it. Period. So, like the point. My kind of argument against that was that I think the theming did work well, because while Thanos, he like obviously felt remorse for having to kill Gamora, but he had no hesitation. He was like, yes, I am convicted in this goal and I'm going to do this. I'm sorry, Gamora, go die.
Right.
But the
Hello? My computer locked up, it looks like.
and they had this like they pushed it until the last second.
I'm sorry,
really,
can you
really had to
repeat
do
that point, because my computer locked up for a moment, so
Oh no.
Oh sure.
Okay.
So Thanos, you know, he basically killed Gamora without hesitation and saved their remorse for last, right?
Right.
Whereas the heroes were like all of the heroes, when Peter had to kill Gamora, he couldn't
he
do
hesitated,
it. He
Yeah.
hesitated. He couldn't bring himself to do it for the longest time until he knew that there was literally no other course of action. And through the whole movie, like basically Scarlet Witch and Vision's entire plot line was trying to save Vision while destroying the Mind Stone. And when they found they couldn't do it, that was when Scarlet Witch started to destroy the Mind Stone.
yeah, that was a
So-
major plot point. So I kind of, my thoughts on this thing, this idea, it was kind of that the theming was pretty consistent. Maybe Thel's right that it would have been better juxtaposed with more, I don't know, with something more
My
drastic
problem
on
with it
Thanos' part.
was specifically because without that juxtaposition, it almost felt like this is what writer bot 1 and 2 wanted to do to make tension for the scene.
Mhm.
I don't think it was a tool for tension. I think it was a consistent theme throughout the whole story about like having to use death to get what you want. That was Thanos' point in terms of killing half of the population on planets. That was ultimately, and this is kind of an interesting like comparison. In order for heroes to get their goals, they had to do exactly what they were trying to stop Thanos from doing.
Right.
Peter tried to kill Gamora to stop Thanos from doing the same thing, essentially.
Yeah, and this was what I think Dalsson pointed out
Right.
earlier was they were basically doing the same thing as Thanos. It was like a reverse of what I was saying.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a way, I think that it maybe a juxtaposition would have helped, but it might have been hard with where they actually wanted to move the plot.
Yeah.
But
And also it could be the same thing with like Doctor Strange. Like the reason that Doctor Strange gave Thanos the fucking thing is so that in the next movie they could bring it back, because that was the one eventuality he saw that they won.
right. No, but man, what was I saying? I didn't even get to finish my point.
I didn't even think about that.
But yeah, it's a consistent theme. Like it.
Yeah.
They brought
and that
every
is a
step
very
of the,
good point.
yeah, every step of the way. It was like forcing you to compare, maybe not on a like direct level, but forcing you to compare all of the superheroes to Thanos and really recognizing that the only difference between them is the scale that they're talking about.
Yeah.
So
That's like a third point that I didn't consider, is that I find it really interesting that we all kind of came out of that with 3 different views on the overall theming. Like saying, you're saying that the overall theming, like the whole theming of the movie amongst all of the characters was sacrifice to achieve the greater good.
Yeah,
And then-
sacrifice to keep people from dying. Yeah.
Then Thel is saying it could have been better if they hadn't done that, and I'm saying that they kind of did do that.
right.
Where where the heroes, like Thel sort of said, the heroes should have kept their convictions of saving everyone. I'm saying that the heroes kind of did keep their convictions of saving everyone until they were almost
Pushed it again,
physically forced to not do so. And you said you're so I find it really interesting. You know, the three of us think relatively similarly a lot of times, so I find it interesting that we came out of that movie with 3 different themes almost.
Yeah.
Right. And actually, it would be very appropriate for the theme of a movie starring Thanos to be about death.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is kind of a funny thought. Anyway, this is we've run really longer than usual, so I think we're gonna stop here.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Alright.
joining us as always. We're not gonna do a closing out because we did that earlier. So
Yeah.
as always, remember,
Stay beautiful.